Aloha, what's up everyone? Welcome to another episode of Truth in Movies. Today's movie is one that was recommended by many of you. I went through all of the comments and somehow I didn't catch this one. This movie that I'm about to decode with you is not available anywhere. There's one place that I found it, and I had to do some digging. I had to go searching. I actually found it here on YouTube, buried, and buried somewhere, in the background or whatever. And it wasn't free. I mean, it was free. It was just somebody uploaded it, and I don't know how long even that version of it will be around. So I decided I need to do a movie decode on this particular movie because you can't rent it, you cannot buy it, and after you watch this decode, you'll understand exactly why. This movie is basically a combination of if They Live had a baby with, I don't know. They Live and freaking another dystopian movie. I had two in mind. But anyway, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's movie. It's called Branded. And you'll see why. You'll see why. And this will all make sense to you as we begin our journey. Hopefully I get some thumbs ups, at least in the chat. Let me know that you guys can hear me and see me okay. I appreciate that. Now, as always, I like to look at who brings you the movie. It's brought to you. At first, I couldn't even see the letters here. I just saw, it looks like HIH or something with the rubies and the gems and stuff. But it's actually THT. But it's not THT, it's a Russian company. That Russian letter H right there is actually our letter N, so it's TNT. But there's a reason that the production company has this jewel-encrusted golden logo, very fancy and ritzy and stuff. They're making fun of themselves. They're putting it right out there in the public that they're in this for the money. That like this is what the whole movie is going to be about, is production companies and advertisements and sales and stuff like that, and how it affects you and how they leech off of you and how they benefit from all of you and programming you. Now, the movie starts off by showing you all of these notable names. We've got Sigmund Freud, Joan of Arc, Alexander the Great, Socrates, Julius Caesar, etc., and so on and so forth. And then it says, all of these unusual people heard a voice. All of them saw things others couldn't see. All of them changed the world. So keep that in mind. We live during weird times right now. Are you the type of person that can see things that other people cannot see? Do you hear things that other people can't hear? Are you afraid to maybe talk about it with other people because people might look at you like you're crazy? And I'm not talking about legitimately crazy people. I'm just saying you're aware. You see things just like in the movie They Live with your rowdy sunglasses, rowdy Piper sunglasses. You're aware of things. You can almost hear the song of the world speaking to you. That's the main character in this movie, and that's many of us. Now, we begin in Moscow in the early 1980s. Interesting point, Russia used to be basically called Moscovia, which means place of the dark waters. Interesting. Now, we see this kid looks like he's sleeping on a park bench or something. He's looking up at the stars, and he sees this weird constellation start to move. And as we look at this constellation, keep in mind he's actually looking at the apex dome that covers this world, as I've talked about many times. If you have an alternative cosmology, one where you think space goes on forever, that's fine. Regardless, I believe he's looking up at the firmament itself. And then he sees what looks like a cow looking down at him from directly above. The brightest star in the sky is the cow's eye, or the bull's eye. The reason I'm saying it like that is because that's where we get this from. The apex dome that hangs down off of the firmament that people have seen time and time again, every now and then in antiquity, that was known as the eye of the bull. And that's why we have that target symbol, because that's what that looks like up there. So that's known as the bullseye. Now the bullseye looks right down at the kid, and suddenly the sky lights up, and there's almost like this hole of light in the sky covering this bull that is in the sky. Keep this in mind. I'll explain to you what the bull symbolism is and why this is indeed a holy cow or a big deal. All right, cool. So the kid looks up and somebody's calling numbers. He's in line for like food or something like that, I'm assuming. They call number 159, and he has number 159 written on his hand. And so he wants to go and, to the front of the line because it's his turn. But if you look up the Russian alphabet and we count the first letter, the fifth letter, and the ninth letter, it spells something. A is the first letter. And then we have this weird looking letter A over here. In America, we just say that's a weird looking letter A. It's actually our letter D. A, D. And then the ninth letter looks like the number 3. And it's the letter Z. It spells ads. So he has the word ads written on his hand. Interesting. Especially when you see what this kid will grow up to be. Now, it's also interesting to me personally because if you guys have seen, watched my channel lately, or you've seen my posts, you know that I'm creating my own collectible cards, trading cards. And they're sort of spoof, a spoof series of truthers and conspiracy world stuff like tinfoil hat. This is actually one of the cards that I created. But this particular version of the card, there's many different versions, okay? This one's like the tinfoil hat gone wrong. This is a company that I made up, or at least I thought I made it up, and it's called Artifact Disclosure Zone, or ADZ, ads. And it's supposed to be a spoof of like the Home Shopping Network on one of these versions of these cards that I have. Anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting personally to me, right? Now the kid gets up and he goes, "That's me, that's me." He represents ads, as in advertisements, as in commercials and stuff. You'll see why, too. So he starts running, and the next thing you know, everything lights up, electricity runs through his body, and he gets hit by lightning. He does the squatter man pose, which is the symbol for the beam that shoots up out of the center of the world from Mount Meru, or Rupus Nigra. It shoots up and it splits out, holding its arms up in a gesture that brings peace to the entire world because it ushers us into the golden age. Now, somebody looks down at him and this old lady says, "Young man, you're going to have a very unusual life," because he's been hit by electricity. The boy has been charged. This is why he's going to grow up to see things other people cannot see. At least one of the reasons why he will. He's charged. All of you people out there that are charged with more soul, more spirit, more electrical force, however you want to see it, you tend to have very unusual lives. You tend to be very interesting characters. I myself can relate to you. And that brings us to the title, Branded, but you'll notice there's something weird about the spelling. Why did they choose to put the letter N as this weird stylized, there's 2 things right there? What's going on, right? If you try to look that up, no one will give you the answer. I will. I'll share with you what I believe the answer to be. People say, "Oh, it's just stylized. It's to give you an awkward, eerie feeling. It's to put you off and make you feel strange from the beginning of the movie." No, it's not. It might do that, but that's because you have a lack of knowledge of what these glyphs mean. When we have a lack of knowledge, we tend to have fear as a byproduct. But whenever you introduce knowledge, it expels fear and it promotes confidence. It builds self-reliance and self-confidence and courage. So let's build some courage. Let's build some self-confidence by learning what that glyph actually is. It is not the letter N. It is a brand, but what brand? Now, where do they get brand from? They used to take cows and then they would heat up the brand of the owner that owns the farm or whatever, usually his initials or whatever, logo, and they would heat it up and they would stick it on the cow and burn that mark into the cow. And that was the brand. That's where brands come from. All of your brands are burned into you, the cattle of the world. To some people out there, they would call you the goy of the world, the animals of the world, the sheep or sleepwalkers or sheepwalkers. But let's get a little bit deeper into what that particular glyph represents. You'll notice it has two ends, just like this, and then connectors in the middle, two connectors in the middle specifically. Now, I've mentioned this particular glyph before. It comes from ancient Phoenician, or some people call it Paleo-Hebrew. It is the 8th letter, so this is the number 8, basically. It's the 8th letter in the early Phoenician / Paleo-Hebrew alphabet. It is called Chet, or you would probably pronounce it Chet if you read how it is spelled, C-H-E-T. It is pronounced Chet. It means a marker, a mark, specifically a boundary, an outdoor boundary, but it, by implication also implies a marker. And that's what this is. It is the number 8. It is a marker. It comes from these pillars and poles. You see that one right here? This actually used to be sideways. It used to look more like the Roman numeral 3. And that's because it represented 2 pillars of geoplasmas that erupted from a northern continent that used to be on many maps. It had one pillar on one side of that continent, acting as an anode, another on the other side, acting as a cathode, and a central pillar that shot all the way up into the heavens, which is that geoplasma that spreads its arms out, as I discussed before. But that is the Chet, and that is why they use that. Now, we start the movie, we've got we got many years into the future. That kid that got struck by lightning is all grown up. He is now a producer, but he's really sort of a director for advertisements. He works as an advertiser, basically, for a major company that he started. And he's watching one of his own advertisements, and it's called Bellarus. It's this movie, and this is the advertisement for the movie, Bellarus. And I looked up an anagram for Bellarus, which is as ruble, or as rubles, or a rubles. What's a ruble, right? Well, a ruble happens to be one of the currencies in Russia. It's very interesting. They have what they call the ruble. Some people say ruble with a P, but it's ruble. And it's spelled many different ways. One of the ways that it's spelled is R-O-B-B-L-E. Now it says it's fully obsolete. It's an archaic spelling, which means that's the oldest spelling of the word. Ruble. Ruble. And I'm thinking to myself, this movie is all about advertising, fast food restaurants, hamburgers and stuff, and now I have this word ruble. Where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. McDonald's. The Hamburglar. McDonald's comes up with these cartoon characters or whatever, which all symbolize real actual things, but, unbeknownst to most of us. This character right here goes around speaking what people thought was gibberish. He's actually speaking Russian. And he's saying he'll give you 2 rubles for hamburgers, which is basically a ripoff because a ruble is like worth a penny or something like that. It's not worth a lot. But he goes, ruble, 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 right? Well, let's get deeper than that into the Hamburglar and see what kind of connections we can make. So he's obviously a criminal. He's a crook of some kind. He only wants to give you 2 rubles for a whole plate of hamburgers that he's basically just going to take anyway. This is the original Hamburglar. When it was very first aired on television. Do you see that up there? You see this face? You see that huge nose and big ears and tiny little rat teeth? That's what the Hamburglar originally looked like. He was changed into this goofy Mad Magazine Cabbage Patch Kids version of the original, which looked exactly like this. Now, his hat was knocked off in this early commercial, and this is what he looks like without his hat. You tell me if this is trying to portray something. Okay? Robble Robble. Okay, this is what he looks like. Gigantic nose. And here he is. Ta-da! In all of his glory. The crook. The criminal. The businessman wearing his tie. The criminal wearing the black and white symbolism. Okay? Literally standing in front of a volcano, by the way. You probably can't see it, but... Now, this is him. The Hamburglar. Who gives you 2 rubles, ruble, for a whole plate of hamburgers that he's going to just take away from you anyway and leave you basically nothing in return. I'm like, you know what? That reminds me of another character. I've seen this before, you know? But we'll come back to that. Belarus. Belarus is an actual real place. It's not a made-up place. It's a place in Russia. Here it is right here on the map. So you can see here's the Russia, Lithuania. It's near Russia, I should say. In the ancient world, you know, they were all connected. So here's Russia over here, Latvia, Poland. Remember where Poland is. So Belarus is right above the Ukraine, which plays a huge part of this, and Poland. Okay, cool. Let's check out this map over here that shows you the Jewish culture areas. I don't know. I just picked Jews at random. The Jewish culture areas of medieval Europe. Now, let's orient ourselves. Where's Poland? Let's check it out. Well, here's England. Here's Saxony. Here's Denmark. Here's Poland right here. Let me zoom in on that for you. Now, look what these other places were called in medieval times. Poland, Lithuania, Big Canaan, or Canaan, Little Canaan, also Bohemia, also Ashkenaz. Oh, that's interesting. This is where the Ashkenazi Jews originated, at least before they were where they are today. Okay, this was their little hometown area. This is sort of where they hailed from. I thought to myself, isn't that kind of weird that they would put the word Nazi in the word Ashkenazi, or maybe it's vice versa. But still, I think that's a strange coincidence, don't you? You know, according to the historic record, the Nazi people hated the Jewish people, right? And one sect of Judaism is known as Ashkenazi. So I'm like, that's weird. Why would they do that? Why would the German people literally name themselves after the people that they hate, allegedly? Okay, this is all allegedly. Well, we could break that down. Ash, Ken, Oz. Remember, that I at the end just means place of in this particular word, okay? So there's many different words here when we break down the etymology of it, and we're going to. Because the original place was not called Ashkenazi, it was called Ashkenaz. Named after. There's people that have this name too. It's not just a proper noun. All proper nouns are words and can be broken down into smaller words and even into their individual letters. Okay, they are all sentences. They are all meanings. They all impart meaning to you if you're willing to listen to it. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I don't know if I'm loud enough. I think I'm loud enough. Okay. Anyways, that reminded me. Oh, you know, let's break that down real quick. So I'll just tell you what it means. Ash in Hebrew means fire, and by extension, light. Literally means vice versa. It means light, and by extension, fire. So light or fire can means, it can mean yes or affirmative or correct, but it can also mean a nest, as in a bird's nest, and by extension, a dwelling place. But literally a nest, as you would see. And what does a nest look like? A bush. Birds often live in the bush. Their nest is a little bush. Fire, bush. Az means strong. So strong bush fire, or strong or fierce burning bush. Place of the fiercely burning bush. That's literally what this can break down into. That's how I'm going to break it down. Other people will say otherwise, but that's what I'm telling you that literally means. Now that reminded me of this character right here, who also has a very large nose, and he will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. He will gladly pay you back some other time, and anyone that used to watch Popeye growing up knows Wimpy, which is his name, will never pay you back. He just promises he will pay you back. He gets something of substance and gives you empty promises in return. He also wears black and white. Interesting. What's his actual name? His actual name is Jay Wellington. I don't know what the J stands for. You can guess. Wellington Wimpy. Well, what does Wellington mean? I looked it up. Wellington, Wella, wealth or prosperity, and ton means town. It's traditionally understood to mean a wealthy estate or a settlement of the wealthy. Wimpy, the guy who never gives you any money, but his name literally implies that he is very wealthy already, will gladly give you something on Tuesday, some money, pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. He wants you to give him something now, and he'll give you an empty promise and nothing in return. Are you seeing some connections so far in this movie breakdown? I am. Jeeps 311 in the chat knows what's up. All right, so anyways, his movie is called Bellarus, okay? And that plays a part. Now, in the movie Bellarus, the fictional movie within the movie, we have this woman who is tied up as what seems to be some sort of sacrificial offering, and the flowers go straight up and then branch out into this Y shape. This is the ultimate sacrifice. This is the Jesus pose. This is the Atlas pose. This is the ultimate sacrificial pose. So it makes sense that she would be tied up like that, with all of the flowers and stuff around her, because where the ultimate sacrifice takes place is in the Garden of Eden. It is in Atlantis. It is in Hyperborea. It is not in the middle of the desert somewhere in today's Middle East. It is nowhere near that place. That place is not the original Jerusalem. It is not a city of peace. If you think so, you need to turn on your news and open your eyes, okay? It's not a city of peace. That's not Jerusalem. Jerusalem's at the heart of the earth, which is in the center of the world. So anyways, he's watching this chick get sacrificed, and then we look around this Russian town in Moscow, and we can see all these advertisements. They're sort of knockoffs of actual things. Like they have Yepel, which is like a strawberry with a bite taken out instead of apple. We've got, LG knockoffs and stuff like that. So here's the little kid all grown up. He's a big businessman. He's trying to run this advertising agency. He walks right past these golden cows, these golden bulls. He's saying the scream doesn't work. The company doesn't like the scream. But here's the golden calf symbolism. This comes from the traditional biblical stories, or the Torah, where they have the people who have escaped Egypt immediately go right back to worshiping a golden calf. Money, so things of substance and value that they worshipped or used whenever they were in Egypt, okay? They go back to this cow worship, this calf worship, this holy cow worship. It's because this is what they saw in the sky. It's not because they just loved money. What does money have to do? What does gold have to do with a bull? Nothing. Unless that bull is a celestial phenomenon, electricity in the sky that people witnessed long ago, and that electricity came down and made gold and created different precious stones and metals. Now we're getting somewhere. The Philosopher's Stone. So anyways, he says the scream doesn't work. Paramount hates the commercial. Paramount hates the commercial of the screaming girl about to die as a sacrifice in the shape of the blue beam. Well, that is because Paramount, as you see whenever I break these movies down, is Mount Meru. That's what this is. This is not a real actual mountain anywhere on Earth. It's got 22 stars around it to represent the 22 glyphs of the Hebrew alphabet. Paramount is Mount Meru. It is the dark mountain, the black mountain. That's why I always say it's brought to you by Mount Meru. Now, there is a war that happens between the earth energy, the good life-giving energy that's represented by the earth herself, and the cosmic energy, cosmos, the energy above and the energy below. That is the continual war that happens over and over and over as we go through these cyclical resets and apocalypses. So he's in his little award show for advertising, and you can see that there's more of these golden calves way off there to the side, golden cows, etc. Then he meets this girl, and he says he met her 9 years ago. There's the number 9 is like a holy number in antiquity, and that's because that land at the center of the earth at the North Pole is shaped like the ancient number 9, which was called the Tet. Basically, it's a circle with an X going through it. He's talking to this girl, getting to know her, and I am like, that's Helen Hunt. What is going on? How does Helen Hunt look so young? And I mean, if you listen to this particular girl, I forgot her name. Okay, that's not Helen Hunt, technically. But if you watch her, if you listen to her, if you see her little mannerisms and everything, it's a freaking clone of Helen Hunt. It's literally her. I'm like, that's mind-blowing. I'm not saying it's actually her because they both exist at the same time. But could it be that Hollywood, or the government which controls Hollywood, right, uses clones? If they have clones for method acting, for, live news broadcasts whenever some sort of terrible event is happening, and we know that we're seeing the same actors who claim to be eyewitnesses in disaster after disaster in different places around the world, could it be that that person's just a globe-trotting actor? What do you call those people? The paid actors that are on those, like, at their witnesses? What do they call those? What do they call those things? Somebody tell me in the chat. There's a name for them that you guys came up with. They're actors, but they pretend to be witnesses. I'm looking at the chat right now. Somebody's going to tell me what those are called. Crisis actors. Yeah, Jeeps. What's up? Thanks, Jeeps. Jeeps has me fast forwarded all the way to almost where the live stream is. Yeah, the crisis actors, right? So do they pay the crisis actors to just go globetrotting everywhere? Or do they have clones? And if they have clones that are like crisis actors, isn't it possible they might just keep cloning the same people in Hollywood? They already have what it takes genetically, right? I don't know. I think that's very interesting. And I see a lot of actors that look like a lot of other actors. I'm not one that thinks that they're fallen angels or anything like that, so don't go there. I mean, you can go there, but I'm not going to agree with you. I'm more inclined to believe that they are cloned, and there are underground cloning facilities for such purposes. Anyways, so they're going to give out this award, which is this Golden Calf Award, basically. These are all of your award shows. They're basically all holding a little golden trophy. And this is his buddy Bob. Bob is like sort of his manager. I'll tell you more about Bob, because you're probably asking, what about Bob? Right? Him and Bob walk into the office, into their advertising agency, which, if you put the initials together, spell BS. BS. So, I'm sure you can figure out what that means. Meanwhile, we go to this private Polynesian island. Some private island in Polynesia. I'm sure it's owned by the local homeless population. Just kidding. Now we have this extremely rich, elite, wealthy guy who walks up. His name is Joseph Pascal in the movie. He says that he's the leading specialist on marketing. Owns his own island in Polynesia. He walks up and he waves hello as he walks between these pillars. The pillar symbolism is here once again. They didn't need to put pillars. These are props in the movie. They wanted the pillars because the pillars are related to what's going on. There are pillars that rise up out of the Arctic Ocean in the form of geoplasmas before the apocalypse comes, and they will stay there afterwards. They release a lot of negative energy that is built up just underneath the surface of the world. Those pillars will be seen as a beast, or the legs of a beast that rises up out of the Arctic Ocean, as it's mentioned and said, as a matter of fact, in the book of Revelation. So he represents this sort of beast system that we live in now. This beast that rises up out of the ocean is energy. That energy is in a closed system. Because it's in a closed system and it's so powerful, that energy will resonate throughout all of us. And therefore, the beast affects us collectively. How we think, our desires, what we do, what we worship, what we don't, who we follow, etc. It's the strongest influencer there is, okay, on Earth. Because it's from the earth. Anyways, so this guy walks into a meeting of his sort of 6 elite consultants. There's also 6 pillars here, he being the 7th. And you can see like there's all these little paintings. I'll share one of those paintings with you in a minute. And he tells them all these people are from different fast food companies. And they came to him, the best advertiser on earth. And they said, we need you to save us. Nobody likes fast food anymore. We need an advertising campaign that will work. And he goes, sorry, I can't help you. Nobody loves your product anymore. That's what they call it. Nobody loves your product anymore. That's the bad news. But the good news is I have a plan. And he says, I need to know how far you're willing to go, though, right? So he's talking to him and he says, the era of fast food is over, but I've got some good news. We're going to together make fat beautiful again. And then they show you this particular painting. This painting is sometimes known as the three charities. There's other words for it too. Three muses, three charities. What else do they call that? Let me look it up real quick. Three charities. They're also known as the three graces. That's right. So the three graces, the three charities, etc. They zoom in on this and they said, we're going to make fat beautiful again. Remember, this guy represents the time we live in now, especially towards the end of time. He's going to make fat beautiful again. He's going to make what is unhealthy healthy. And I'm not trying to get into the semantics of there's some cultures out there and some tribes and they all think that fat's great. And I'm not trying to jump on anybody's team as far as team skinny, team fat, none of that political garbage. I really don't care. Okay? I'm talking about the views of antiquity. Okay? Fat was typically seen as unhealthy. Okay? Skinny, you can still be too skinny. Okay? So there's a happy medium there. Anyways, without getting too much into it, he shows you this picture of the three graces. He says, together we will make fat beautiful again. This is how he's going to help out the fast food companies by changing how people perceive beauty. Shows you the three graces. They look like they got a little meat on them, right? That's why they picked this one in particular. But who are these three graces? Who are these three muses, you can call them? There's more than three muses, but originally I believe there were actually three. Well, they oftentimes are seen very white, very bright, I should say. Not Caucasian, even though they are cartoonified as Caucasian. They're not human beings. You know how I know they're not human beings? Well, one, they're holding these. That's not apples. Those aren't fruits. These are round objects that people saw in the sky. And I've shown you guys pictures of those strange spheres that came down from the heavens. Also, they're just butt naked. They don't wear clothing. I mean, people eventually started putting clothing on them because they felt all weird about it. But they are celestial objects, or they are phenomenons that people personified as human beings. Gods, goddesses, etc. Oftentimes they were shown together holding something up, usually something bowl-shaped, sometimes something that had ridges on it that was bowl-shaped. What do you think that might be? Anode, cathode, and Mount Meru, right there in the middle, with the dome above them. They're in the sky right here. This tells you they're not human beings. There are no gods that are in human being form that fly around in the sky like Superman. That doesn't exist. Without rocket packs or something like that, unless it's worldwide atmospheric depressurization and they're like floating up, but they don't appear to be floating up. They're just standing on a cloud right there. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, here they are again, holding up another bowl shape right above them. These are the three beams. Remember that het symbol I showed you at the beginning? Remember I said if you turn it sideways, it makes three beams, or the Roman numeral 3. That's where this comes from. These are the three. These are the three beams of light that people see every other age when they look towards the North Pole. The three major beams of light. There are many. There's one great one in the middle. There are two lesser ones acting as witnesses on either side. There are even smaller ones that go around those and are seen in the vicinity. But these are the largest, the tallest of all of them. And when they are there, they bring life. When they are there, they bring inspiration. You see the pillars? When they are there, they bring plenty. They inspire the world because the world is energetically charged by all these geoplasmas that are erupting into the sky. But they're not always there. Here you can see the Staff of Hermes, which is literally the symbol for Mount Meru. It's a beam of light that shoots up with the serpent, or the serpentine-like energy spiraling up it, right? Usually with the ball at the top, or a dome. It's the apex dome. But they're not always there. They're not always alive. Sometimes they retract. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they go away. People don't see the energy any longer. But it still is energetic. It still has an effect on us. And then they become the fates because they introduce mortality into this world. When the graces are here, lifespans are extended because of the electromagnetic amplification in the atmosphere, causing your collagen and your elastin to reproduce and keeping you young and vigorous and contributing more spirit to you. Things like telepathy come out, and magic and mysticism and wonder and all of those golden age types of qualities. But then when those beams of light retract and they go away, they leave only these dark mountains. So these women typically are going to be wearing darker colors. They're not going to be naked Caucasian chicks or made out of marble or wearing light colored clothes. They're going to be wearing darker clothes. Their heads and their hands are going to be down, almost as if they're working or sewing or creating the strings of life that they will inevitably cut to make people die. Mortality enters into this world. Lifespans are no longer amplified, and the graces become evil. Those same mountains up there in the Arctic that people used to revere and worship and look up to and sing praises to and go tell the good news upon and receive instructions from, and whatever it may be, what was once positive now from all the people on earth is seen as something negative. They say it's your fault. It's these three that are no longer bringing light into the world, no longer bringing energy into the world, so they must be causing mortality, plagues, sicknesses, famines, things to die. And this is how they will be portrayed, for the most part. There's always anomalies and exceptions, but these are now the fates. Look, right here it shows you Alpha, Omega, the beginning, the end. That is the apocalypse right there. It's a cycle. So, back to the movie. The advertiser says, how far are you willing to go? He's talking to the advertising agencies. How far are you willing to go in order to be successful, in order to be the top dog, in order to have your product sold to everyone, everywhere? Almost to make it even mandatory for people to buy your product. Think about that. That's going to come into play in a little bit. How far are you willing to go? And they say, well, within whatever the law allows. And he goes, no, it's not far enough. And they go, okay, well, however far you want, we'll go as far as it takes. Now, we get back to the main character. This is the guy that got struck by lightning as a kid. He looks over at his soon-to-be girlfriend. They're driving somewhere and she takes off her seatbelt. He makes the comment, it's amazing how you Americans all believe in seatbelts. And she looks dead serious right into his eyes and says, in America, they advertise them really well. Seatbelts. They advertise them really well. I started thinking about seatbelts, and I'm like, I never advertise. Advertisements are for products. Today's cars just come with seatbelts, don't they? No, they don't. You are sold the seatbelt with the car. Here are some examples of seatbelt advertisements. These are more modern ones. They want you to know you're safe, you're okay as you drive this incredible vehicle that you took a test to learn how to drive. Oh, but it's not your fault because it's the other guy. There's crazy people out there, which means they're getting their licenses too. Well, no, that's not it. Maybe some people they're just evil and they just get in cars and they break the law and they just drive without driver's licenses and they're the ones crashing into everyone. Okay. It's people who drink and drive. It's this and that. They're putting all this fear on purpose into your mind to make you think you have to have this object. But they're not selling it to you, are they? Yeah, they are. As a matter of fact, originally, cars didn't have seatbelts. They sold them to you as an accessory. They thought, you know what? This is a brilliant idea. We're going to sell them these safety belts. Now, I'm going to come back to this police picture, okay? Because that's another thing they do is they try to, they went from trying to sell you the seatbelt to trying to make you think that you need to have the seatbelt or you're going to die or you could die, okay? There's a reason why they put it like that. This is fear-based advertisements. All right? I'm not trying to say I'm against seatbelts or anything. I'm pro-choice. When it comes to everything, I'm pro you do what you want to do, okay? And I'll do what I want to do. But if we look into yesteryear, we can find all kinds of advertisements. People were selling seatbelts. Here's another advertisement from modern people stoppers. So they were selling them. Look, only $65. BMC selling their seatbelt, $65. This chick casually leaning over. She wears her seatbelt. She's a good-looking girl for the early 60s or something. Safety habits, diagonal seat belts, only $84 or 84 cents. I don't know how much it was back then, but 84 something. Look, this one cost $8.95. Maybe that's how much it was, $8. I don't know. This one right here, $8.95 for a seatbelt. Money back guarantee. So if you die wearing their product, they'll give you your money back. This one right here, Gentex safety belt, $7.95. Here's that same chick. And then they went from trying to sell you the seatbelt to trying to get you to think it was glamorous or even sexy to have a seatbelt. Only the glamorous wear seatbelts. You know why? Because they cost money. Only the glamorous rich people can afford seatbelts. You want to be rich and glamorous, don't you? But then they said, why should we try to trick people into wearing something that nobody wants to wear? Now, I'm not really talking to the modern audience, okay? If you're older, you probably know what I'm talking about. These days, a lot of people want to wear seatbelts because, you know, they've been advertised to. But when this concept first came out, nobody, when I was a kid, nobody wanted to wear a seatbelt. Parents might tell the kids to put a seatbelt on, maybe. But nobody wanted to wear seatbelts. They used to make cars where you could lay down and go to sleep inside of them. Think about all the vehicles today that do not have seatbelts. That, by all means, probably should, according to today's standards. Like, I don't know, school buses full of children. You know what they say? Well, it's so large that, like, when the kids, when it crashes, the seats in front of the kids will absorb most of the impact and they'll be fine. That's literally what they teach people. Why school buses, or city buses for that matter, don't have seatbelts. Meanwhile, a freaking airplane has seatbelts. You see what I'm saying? They sell you the seatbelt. They're profiting. It's included in the price of the car. They said, why make it optional? Why not just put it in every car and sell the seatbelt to everyone and make it mandatory? And then we'll convince the people that they need it, that they have to have it for your safety. Of course, for your protection. We'll do it for you. It's no longer your choice. It is no longer your freedom. It is now the law for you to purchase the seatbelt. It is also your privilege for you to drive. That gets into a whole discussion about your right and your freedom to travel from one place to another, any way you wish. You have that freedom. But they won't call it traveling. They will call it driving because that's a maritime terminology. And they're going according to the lanes of the ocean that the boats had to drive in. And you had to obey the maritime laws. Now you're no longer obeying the law of the land. You are now, by default, obeying the laws of the ocean. Another reason that they want the seatbelt is because you feel subconsciously all tied up. You feel strapped down, strapped in, because guess what? You are. And whenever the cops come, which they will, because they're the policy makers, they're the ones that give tickets for you to make your payments, right? That's what it's all about. You're going to feel like you are not free. You're going to feel like you are being ridiculed or you're being, what do you call that? damn, my vocabulary's gone today. Investigated? Is that the right word? Anyways, you see what I'm saying, right? You're going to feel tied up, like you can't escape, like you can't get away. Did you know that most people, when they get pulled over, will keep their seatbelts on even though they don't even have to? According to the law, you only need to wear it whenever your car is moving. But they're scared to take off their seatbelt. You know why? Because if a cop sees you reaching down when they pulled you over, guess what's going to happen to you? Reaching down towards your hip to unbuckle your freaking seatbelt, yeah, you might not walk away from that ticket stop. Might cost you more than a ticket. So people are terrified. And that's one of the reasons they want you all tied up in your little boat that you drive around. So Uncle Sam wants your freedom. He wants your money. Okay, he wants you to pay him for things and insists that you pay him for things. And he insists that you purchase certain things like seatbelts. He insists that you purchase health insurance. That's not your choice. He insists that you pay taxes, even though you're not paying a damn thing because it's taken away from you before you even get it, which means you're just being shortchanged. He wants your money. He also wants your freedom. He wants to have your freedoms that you think that you have, that you don't. You don't have the freedom to just travel around in a car or in a rocket or in a plane or whatever you build, whatever you want. You don't have that freedom. Uncle Sam has that freedom. And he will give you benefits. He'll cut you off a little piece in exchange for the freedoms that you have given to him. Anyways, back to the movie. So the movie is called Bellarus, as we talked about. And they made a new commercial. They didn't like that first one. Now they have this girl upside down in water, and she's trying to scream, but nobody can hear her. So the advertising guy, he says, add a tagline that says, no one will hear this scream. So this is all related to what's happening in these places, Russia, Belarus. What's that one everybody's fighting over? You know what I mean? That area over there. All this stuff's happening right now. People in these countries are screaming at the top of their lungs, especially to America, trying to get our attention or help, trying to get us to snap out of it and to see certain things. But in Belarus, nobody can hear them screaming. Some of you might catch my drift, okay? Now, speaking of current events, on April 15th, approximately 11 days ago, Belarus president signed a law amending the codes on administrative responsibility to penalize the propaganda, as it is in quotes right here, of homosexual relations, gender transition, childlessness, and pedophilia. The legislation, framed as protecting traditional values, hard quotes from the article, imposes fines and administrative arrest targeting public expression and aligning with similar policies in Russia. Wow. That's interesting. That's actually happening right now. Now, I have thoughts about that, but because of where I live and because of where you guys were all meeting right now, I can't share those thoughts with you. But I will tell you that's extremely interesting to me. I will tell you that's very interesting to me. I am not allowed to share where I side on that. But if you know me, you probably know where I side on that. Anyways, he says no one will hear this scream. No one will hear the people in Belarus screaming. Take it how you want to take that. Then we have the advertisements, okay? So this guy, he starts this huge advertising campaign, or the old guy did. They call this the Taste of Freedom. The burger is basically the movie's version of McDonald's, okay? It's called the burger. The Taste of Freedom. That this is what freedom tastes like? You know, not like a farmer that grew his own fruit from the ground or his own veggies from the ground, cracks one straight out of the earth and takes a bite like that. sounds like a great commercial for freedom. Problem is, there's no money in that. There's no business in that. There's business in this because this is a product, not food. So, this guy over here, Bob, the manager, is hanging out with the advertising guy, and Bob's telling him this story about how he went to the burger restaurant, aka McDonald's in Russia, which we'll come back to. And he's like, I wanted to pay for some extra ketchups. I know you guys make us pay for extra ketchups. I got 6 ketchups. I wanted another one. The lady says, "Niet, no more." She cut him off from the extra ketchups. Ketchup is basically syrup. Okay? You know it. I know it. It's not tomato paste. It's syrup. It's red syrup. You already know that. Don't pretend like you're putting little, tomato paste on your burger. You know you're not. It's syrup. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. And I'm not slamming on anyone's choices either. Okay? I've eaten burgers. I've eaten ketchup. Okay? I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay? It's freaking red syrup. And he's like, she cut me off. She didn't let me have more of the ketchup. I applaud that. Good. Listen, if it was my own son and he's asking me for more of something that I know is bad for him out of love, I'm going to tell him no. Not because like, oh, that's just too much and I don't understand why it's too much. Because those are expensive. No, it's bad for you. Everything in moderation, boy. Come here and let me teach you something. And this guy's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's not like how it is in America where I can have as much as I want and eat as much as I want and drink as much as I want. If you're at a bar, don't they cut you off? If they see you're drunk and you had too much, they should. But this is the American, this is the Russian. The American's way is I get what I want. I'm entitled. And you need to see that as positive, and you need to see that as good, and you need to bow down and worship me because I have a title. At least I walk around pretending like I do. They no longer have McDonald's in Russia. They have their version of McDonald's, which, by the way, this is like not a stylized M, even though we all know it's basically an M, but it's supposed to be a top-down view of a burger and 2 large French fries. I'm not sure what they call this. I'll try to pronounce it. Bicho in Toka or something like that. Bicho in Toka. Bicho in Toka. I don't know. I don't speak Russian that great, okay? But do you know what that translates into? Remember, this is still basically McDonald's. It's the same stuff. It's just they rebranded it because McDonald's pissed them off. So they decided to get rid of all the McDonald's. They made their own version. This McDonald's in Russian translates into, you ready for this? Tasty period. That's what that means. Tasty, or you could say, and that's final. But I like to call it tasty period. That's literally what that means, okay? So, I'm pretty sure if you go to the tasty period to eat in Russia, you're not going to have problems with wanting to get extra ketchup. I'm just feeling like that's not going to be an issue, eating at the tasty period in Russia. Have fun with that one, Russians. Anyways, what else we got? Everybody in the chat's cracking me up. Now, this guy's like, yeah, this whole country is like one big Hollywood backlot, a facade. Now, this guy represents American ideology. He's saying that Russia is fake because they're cutting him off from getting unlimited amounts of ketchup on his burger or whatever. They're not allowing me to be entitled, so this whole country's fake. He hates Russia now. Basically, right? Now, what I haven't told you yet in the movie is this guy is not actually the manager of an advertising firm. He is a United States spy. He is a government spy. I don't know if I cover that later, so I'm just going to cover it right now in case I forget. He has created a fake advertising agency, hired this guy, who's a really good advertiser, and told him, I want you to report on anything you hear back to me. This guy's actually a United States spy. And his entire purpose is to change Russia from the inside out without ever declaring war on them. Sort of a Cold War, but in reality, it is commercialism. It's consumerism. And they call it, it's under the guise of democracy, okay? But in reality, it's consumerism. It's sales. It's changing the perceptions and the minds of the people and making them consumers, not voters, but people who buy things. Here's a fake Versace called VIP Sachi. So the advertisements are all over the place. They basically run the world. They show this new advertisement where for the movie Bellarus, the girl's upside down in the water and they can't hear her scream. And they say, how likely are any of you in here to watch this movie based on this image? This is how important thumbnails are. And this is why you have so much clickbait on all of the platforms. I try so hard not to make anything that could be possibly misleading. Okay? I try for my thumbnails to genuinely represent what I'm about to share with you guys, okay? And I hope you appreciate that. But this is why you have so much clickbait, because all these people start raising their hands. They're like, yeah, I'd watch that based on that one image. And that image isn't even in the movie. They lied. That image is a lie in this movie. The ad that they're looking at is a lie. So all these people are going to spend money based on the lie. There's a reason that they do this in advertising. The main reason is because it works, but I'll tell you why it works. Now they talk about this little kiosk. This one guy had a kiosk and he sold all kinds of stuff. But that little boy who was struck by lightning, who grew up to be the advertiser, this guy right here, he talks to his boss and he says, hey, why don't you just sell one thing and only one thing? Instead of giving them all these options, just sell one thing. Sell vodka. Like, that's really what the people want. They want to get drunk. They don't care about all this other stuff, okay? That's nice, it's convenient or whatever, but sell this because this is expensive and it's hard to find and it's exclusive. Sell this. And the guy goes, okay. So he learns rule number 1, positioning, right? And then he says, okay, now that you've listened to me, you're selling all this vodka, put up a big bright yellow sign that says, only vodka. So the guy does it. And he's got a line of people all of a sudden coming to his kiosk to buy vodka. So sales increased. The owner bought himself a brand new car with the increased sales. Rule number 2, advertise. And there's even, the advertising is all subliminal. Okay, pretty much everything in advertising is subliminal. Almost all the time. Obviously, there's exceptions. Like I advertise. I don't have subliminal crap in my advertisement. I could, but I don't because I have a conscience or whatever. And I hope that people appreciate that too. But all the messages, all the fonts, all of the colors, everything you see, it's all subliminal. They're never being honest with you about what they're advertising. They're not selling you anything. They're not selling you a food. They're selling you an idea. They're selling you a feeling of happiness, which is what they say in this movie. Rule number 3, get paid up front. Why? Because nobody believes in marketing. No one believes it works. And that's exactly why it works. Even if you think you're ignoring it, you're not ignoring it. Your brain records everything. Your conscious mind doesn't, but your whole brain records all of it. I promise you. The brain's very advanced. You're recording everything. Every single thing, it is in there. They just want to flash it to you. They want to show it to you. It's all in there. And subconsciously, when it comes down to it, you're more likely to get what has been shown to you than what you have been unaware of the entire time. That's advertising. So he doesn't get paid up front, he gets fired, and he decides to open up his own advertising firm. This is sort of the backstory, and that's when Bob comes into play. The United States government sent Bob. This is my new sparkling water I'm about to take a sip of, by the way. Thank you to one of my subscribers. Tangerine sparkling water. By the way, the ingredients on this are carbonated water, organic apple juice, concentrate orange juice, citric acid, and natural flavor. I don't know what that could be. That could be anything. I don't know. But it's better than soda. And nobody's, you know, paying me to say that, obviously. I just want to give a shout out to you guys for, you know, caring about me and sending me cool stuff. All right, so Bob comes in. He's a spy from the United States. The United States wants to infiltrate Russia through advertising. So he tells him, you're going to report back to me. These are all of their enemies. They want to take these big businesses, or I'm sorry, these are all of the people that they're advertising for. All the different agencies: Soda, The Burger, Giant Soft, Mammal, Abidas. You know what I'm saying? The Alligator, La Alligator, or whatever. Anyways, so he gives him his own he fronts him the money for his own advertising agency. And he's like, I don't want to be a spy. He's like, you don't got to be a spy. Just tell me everything that you hear. That's all. It's that simple. He's like, yeah, sometimes I work for USAID, USAID, and they work with unnamed, nameless organizations. That's fine. But you guys are starting a democracy, he says. Democracy isn't about switching governments. It's about business. It's all about advertising. It's about Coke versus Pepsi, he says. This is going to be the new political candidates, the movie producers. Which is crazy, because that's literally Trump. The business elite movie producers. All you have to do is keep your eyes and ears trained on them and just report to us. Let us know what they're doing. Because the movie industry is controlling the world. The advertisement industry is controlling the world. The media is controlling the world. Not people. Not some individual that people voted for or whatever. He says, whatever you see, whatever you hear, let me know. He says, your new job is just spreading the principles of freedom, being a marketer spy over the next 15 years. And here's some examples. They flash these. Obviously, these are like knockoffs of like KFC, Burger King, Apple, Adidas. I actually bought some shoes in the Middle East when I was in the Marine Corps that said this. They were called Abibas. It was the funniest thing ever. I don't think I bought them. I saw those. Korean sell Johnny Vodka, Soda, Giant Soft, Fat Fry, The Burger. So The Burger is the focus here in the movie, right? It's basically McDonald's. It is McDonald's. Let's just call it what it is. It's McDonald's. Those are obviously the golden arches in the shape of a hamburger or whatever. Now, he says this country is almost a democracy, and they were able to put all these advertisements everywhere. Look, the taste of freedom. You see that? And then here's literally they have an advertisement for the actual producers that are making this actual movie that we're decoding in the movie. They put that in there. That's crazy. Bellarus. No one will hear you scream, surrounded by eels now. The eels are circling in Bellarus where people are drowning and nobody's listening to them. Interesting. Now, they have this meeting with this big agency who wants to hire somebody to make this new reality show. And this is back in the 80s, remember. Or 90s, maybe. She says, so we get lots of fat girls and they all want to be skinny and they all want to be beautiful, and we have them all try out so that they can win the chance to have cosmetic surgery to make them skinny and beautiful again. And she says, that's where the magic happens. The fat cow gets transformed into a beautiful, tall woman. And then we cut back. So they end up getting the contract to make this reality show. Okay. Now he's walking around with his girlfriend. He's pointing out all these posters that have propaganda all over them from like Lenin's time. He says Lenin invented marketing. It was Lenin who invented it in 1918 to sell the people the idea of Soviet communism. We call this propaganda today. All of your advertisings are propaganda. I'm not going to make anything off of this particular presentation because I do have ads on my channel which pay my bills and allow me to have electricity in my house and, you know, be a dad and stuff. That's the world we live in. But probably won't make too much on this one. Factories to the workers, land to the peasants, peace to the soldiers. You see all the colors they're using and the fonts and everything, the simple pictures. He said the product promises one thing and only one thing: happiness. It doesn't actually promise land or peace or any of that. It just promises happiness, and it's an empty promise. It's the same thing as Wimpy offering you to pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Give me something of value and I'll give you an empty promise. I'll give you nothing in return. He says that's marketing. Designed campaigns for all of the product lines. And they had their specific colors too. And then he starts to talk about what he calls super brands. Once ancient Russia of yesteryear established a super brand. Russia's super brand was this particular red color that you see everywhere. All of this red, sometimes a little bit of yellow and white. That developed the Russian super brand. So what is a super brand, you might ask yourself? That must be like the top companies, you know, like Pepsi, H&M, Budweiser. Those would be super brands, right, Jay? Wrong. This is the super brand. Red, white, and blue. The cops turn on red, white, and blue when they pull you over. The brands are almost all red, white, and blue. This is the super brand, not these. These are some of the top brands. They're not like, you know, the little guys on the totem pole, but this is who they report to. This is what they're selling. The American dream. All these places are selling you titles. That's the American dream. That's why you're entitled. That's why many of you are entitled. We live during a time, don't be ashamed. You're entitled. I'm entitled sometimes. At least I pretend to be. Okay? If I order a pizza from Domino's, I'm entitled. I feel like royalty for like 10 seconds, and that's why I'm paying so much for the privilege to pretend to actually be somebody with the title. Makes me feel good, makes me feel important. Do I own Domino's? No. Do I actually have a servant I can call on to bring me food anytime I want? No. You're pretending. I'm pretending. We're all pretending. And it's pretense. The pretense is happiness. And the happiness comes from freedom. And the freedom is the brand. The land of the free, the home of the brave. There are no brave people here in America. There are no free people here in America. It is the opposite. You live during a time when everything is the opposite. But that's the super brand. These colors don't bleed. All of that American pride, all of those things. They're selling things to you. They're selling you an idea. They're selling you a dream that is unachievable. They don't want you to achieve that dream. They don't want you to be truly free. If you were truly free, you'd live off of the land. You wouldn't have to pay for a damn thing because you'd be in charge. You would have the charge. You would never be charged. You'd be in control. You'd truly be your own boss. You'd truly, own your own land or claim your own property. You would never pay for anything. They don't want that. Look. They're not sharing with you by any means. Now she asks, what about the KGB though? He says the KGB came later. Sort of like a brand police. So think of our version of the KGB. CIA, FBI. You know what I mean? All these brand police. Even the word police means policy. They're out there writing you little IOUs. They're saying, you owe me. You broke the policy. Now you need to pay us. That's why you can pay people to get out of jail. How does that work? What does paying somebody have to do with getting out of jail? You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to serve, you're supposed to, be in trouble or whatever. If you're rich enough, you just pay people and you don't have to go to jail ever. That's because it's all maritime law. It's all commerce. It's all merchant marine systems. It's all advertising. It's all business. America, this over here, that's a business. This is the super brand. This is not a free country. Okay? There are delusional people, most of them, called Americans, out there that believe they live in a free country. It's a free country. I can say what I want. Until you can't. Until you say something that goes against the policy of the company, then you will be taken away by the company. You can't say what you want. You can't do what you want. You can't be who you want. This is all falsities. You are living as a slave, especially if you're watching in America, at least, okay? I'm speaking for America. I don't know how it is in all your countries, but I imagine they're all different departments of the same department store. This is the America department. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, KGB, FBI, CIA, all that stuff. Police even, right? Writing you tickets. The police have to write a certain number of tickets every year or they get in trouble. They have to pull people over and they'll start making stuff up. Anyways, where was I? So they dominated for 70 years. He's talking about ancient Russia under Lenin. A lot of Lenin's guys lectured for American companies. The American companies were like, hey, can you come over here and give us lectures on how to advertise so that our businesses will grow? And they did. Now, him and her are in the middle of traffic and they have sex. This is also advertising in the movie. This woman right here, this was her last movie. She was supposed to be the next superstar. She quit after this. And she quit literally because she said, I'm sick of all of the fakeness in the advertising. I'm sick of all of the fakeness in what is portrayed to the people. I'm tired of people insisting that I need to, act like I'm having sex with somebody else. This scene is not necessary in the movie. There is a reason it's in the movie. It's providing a little flavor, a little spice, a little sauce, a little ketchup for your movie burger. For you people that can't see deeper than a puddle of mud. That's why the sex scene is in there. That's it. It's for the money. It's not for you thinkers. You know what I mean? That's what the sex scene is here for. And that's why this was her last movie. She quit after that. And good on her. I don't know if she's watching and I don't know your name. High five to you, whoever you are out there. She became an artist and she is a painter now. So good. I'm glad. I'm proud of you. Sex sells, right? You may seen some of these commercials. This guy is literally holding baguettes that look like French fries that also double as, you know what I mean? Male parts. And then we have this chick with her big old knockers holding a big old cheeseburger. And this will work. You might think to yourself, that would never work on me. I would never buy a product just because it looks like I might get some. This is being burned into your brain, whether you like it or not. And your subconscious is called such for a reason. You're not in control of it. Okay? They might look like stupid, cheesy, commercials, especially this one with what's her face. And trust me, the more you learn about this, the less it will be in your subconscious. And it transfers into your conscious mind. Those are you people out there that can acknowledge what is. When you can make sure that this is downloaded to the conscious mind instead of the subconscious mind, then you can consciously be aware of what's going on and not be influenced by it and decide against it and say, I'll never buy Dolce & Gabbana ever. You know what I mean? The cleaner you are, the dirtier you get. It's got a guy pouring shampoo or body wash or whatever and a girl that's just squirting whipped cream all over her. This is Axe, a popular brand. This is shown in the public where children can see it, where anybody can see it. This is considered acceptable. This is the world you live in. This is dystopia. This dystopia is what happens right before the apocalypse comes to fix everything, to set it back into a utopian society once again. Look at all of these things. This is all sexual, subliminal advertising. Not to me. I know exactly what's happening with all of these pictures. I know exactly what they're trying to say. I know that a hamburger has nothing to do with any of that. I'm not making a connection with that. But not everybody out there is like me. And it takes effort. Okay? Just because you acknowledge this just because I acknowledge this right here, right now, I need to be on top of my game. I need to be sober-minded going forward every step. I need to be careful walking about on this walkabout, on this, as I blaze this trail called life. Because if I don't, and if I become lazy, then this will all go right back into my subconscious. And I will be affected by this, and I'll fall right back into that world once again. And so will you. This is a car commercial. It says, "We are just as excited as you." This is a can of frickin' mushrooms. A can of mushrooms. Okay, anyways. This is the Wizard's first rule. I highly recommend this book series. Okay? But the Wizard's first rule says people are stupid. They will believe a lie either because they want it to be true or because they're afraid it might be true. They want it to be true. So that's why you watch all these clickbait videos. You want that to be true, or you're afraid it might be true. So, I don't know, a worldwide epidemic or sickness that happens in this movie, by the way, people are afraid that might be true, so they believe it. People want it to be true. Look, this burger will make me thin and sexy and have big jugs. I'm going to buy that burger. I'll be sexy eating that burger. You want that to be true, don't lie. You would love for that to be true. Diet Coke? I'm on a diet. I'm drinking soda. You're delusional. You're deluded. They have deluded your senses. That's not true. That's a lie. You know that's a lie. There's nothing diet about Diet Coke or Pepsi or any of that crap. You know that. Don't try to argue. You know it's a lie. You just want it to be true, so you believe it. You aren't on a diet if you're drinking Diet Coke. Sorry, but you need to wake up. All right. So they're looking at ideas for which, out of shape fat person they want to be star on their new show, their reality show, right? So they're looking at all these different people who are trying out. They're all, maybe not in the best shape. This girl right here, some of them look better, some of them don't, whatever. That's just who they chose for the movie. But they're going through all the people, and then they find one of them, and he goes, "She could be a star." And it's this girl. I think her name's Victoria. She could be a star. And that's exactly what this guy says. She could be a star. And that's exactly what they're selling you on with these reality shows. You could be a star. You could live vicariously through these people who could be stars. Because you can't actually be a star. But you can live vicariously through all these regular people who can be stars or whatever, who are going to go sell their souls and every sense of morality. When I stopped watching Fear Factor? When I saw the contestants eating horse anus. I didn't even know you could do that. Apparently, it's a big, long thing. I don't know, but I turned it off, and I'm like, I'm never watching this again. And I will never watch anything like this ever again. Because I'm not selling my integrity. I'm not selling my sense of morality. You know what I mean? I'm not taking all those visuals and possible tastes and smells and pretense in my brain. I don't want that in my body. What you look at is what you eat. What you smell is what you eat. What you hear is what you eat. You are eating right now watching my video. I hope it tastes good. I really do. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I feed people a little too much. So if you get full, pause the video, come back later when you're hungry again. That's fine with me. So Extreme Cosmetica is the name of this reality show. So they're going to take Veronica, who feels like she could lose a few pounds. They show her diving into an apple. She wants to be skinny. And so she's going to undergo all this plastic surgery and stuff to be skinnier. And they're on purpose taking, someone who's maybe a little chunkier. I don't know what all the different levels of words to describe fat are these days. You know what I'm saying? Right? Skinny, fat, overweight, obtuse, what do we call that? There's so many words. And now they have the whole fat shaming. You can't even say the word fat because now you're fat shaming. Nobody wants to be ashamed. Dude, I'll skinny shame people too. I'm not trying to shame you at all. I'm trying to let you know a thing is what it is. Okay? There is beautiful, there is ugly, there is black, there is white, there is skinny, there is fat. There are differences in people, believe it or fucking not. Wake up. Okay? Look around you. Stop being blind to the obvious. Anyways, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad to be fat or bad to be skinny or bad to be black, bad to be white. You know what I'm saying? Just stop pretending like, stop not acknowledging what is clearly there. Anyway, so she's going to go under the knife in order to try to make herself like this perfection of beauty, right? Which is what I call the elven beauty standard. Some of you have heard me talk about that. And that's the new show. These are all the contestants. You show her with a little bare midriff. She got a little chunkiness to her or whatever. I'm not saying that's ugly or anything. So calm down if that's you out there. I can hear some of you, many of you, because most people are overweight here in the United States. Okay. Probably including myself. All right. I'm not slamming on anybody. I'm just saying it is what it is, as to quote a popular term. So, and then they turn them all skinny. Pow. Now that personally to me, I'm just going to be honest, like that's more attractive than that is to me. But that's just my personal thing, okay? I like the middle ground. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. You don't need to know that. Anyways, let me just keep on going. So this is the stupid show. This is the show, okay? Brought to you by THT or TNT in Russian. Extreme Cosmetica. Now, why do they keep showing you this? Because the show is a setup. The show is fake. I mean, it's a real show, but they've engineered the ending of it because they're trying to push an agenda onto the people. They're trying to warp. Remember that one guy said, we're going to make fat beautiful. This is him who's doing it. You have to ask yourself, this is chess, man. The elite are playing chess with you guys. They're not playing checkers. You're going to go to yourself, well, how can they make fat beautiful if they have reality shows where they're trying to take fat people and make them skinny? I'll show you. I'll show you what happens to this girl who wins the competition. The night before of her surgery, on the closed circuit security camera, she starts telling them, let me out. I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. I'm fine with who I am. I'm kind of scared right now. And they ignore her and they keep her locked in the room. And they have her undergo the surgery anyway. And then we cut to the news and they say, when is she going to wake up? And he goes, well, she's in a coma. So we don't know when she's going to wake up. And now everyone's worried. Now they're messing with your emotions. They're pulling on your little puppet strings like little marionettes. And you're like, oh no. See, the fat girl wanted to be beautiful and other people told her what beautiful looks like, and then she cut herself up, and now she's in a coma? That's terrible. See how they're manipulating your perceptions? She might never wake up again. Now this guy, who's the best advertiser on earth, he's telling her, I want you to show this. This tape of her begging not to be in the show anymore, show this to everybody. Because he's playing chess with you guys. This guy says, it's amazing how many people have turned out. Thousands of people around the company or around the country, same thing, are paying their respects to the winner of this show, hoping that she pulls through out of this coma. The leaders blame the show's producers, for manipulating people into thinking that they have to be thin to be beautiful. Now, problem, reaction, solution, right? They're changing the minds and the perceptions of the masses, which is a group mentality. It's a mob mentality, and it's easy to tell the mob what direction to go in. It's so easy. Like I told my son the other day, a person can be intelligent, but people are stupid. People are basically like cows and animals, and collectively, the more of them you have together, the more they're going to do dumb things. It's called mob mentality. So now people are getting upset and there's outrage. People are asking, what's wrong with the way that she was? Right? With that, I mean, that's a deep question. But now they're going to paste it over everything. Now they're all holding signs, they're protesting, and the police are coming. They beat down the producer or the advertiser guy, and they're all pissed off. Basically like, you killed her. She's in a coma because of your style of beauty, so we're going to rebel against your style of beauty. Screw being skinny. Screw being healthy. I'm going to be fat. I'm just going to be myself. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful to be entitled. That's really what they're kind of making this out to be. So these people go on the news and they start changing their advertising plans. So their McDonald's start having heftier girls or heftier people as they advertise them and put them, into their commercials and stuff. So this guy says, listen, I want you to tell the news that it's just some unpredictable physical reaction. He obviously put her into a coma on purpose, but he wants the people to think there's no one to blame. So tell them there's no one to blame. He says, I want to make it so that nobody believes that the medical conclusions. Nobody will believe that. So people must demand that somebody be punished. That there's just a ghost entity. No one's to blame. It's nobody's fault. So the people want someone to put the blame on. So the person whose blame actually is dictates that and suggests subtly to the people subconsciously who they should be blaming. This is all mind control. This is MK Ultra in effect collectively across the world. I'm not just making that up. That's what this literally is. The government has been practicing this. And when I say the government, I mean all of them because they're all one. They've been practicing this forever. They have it down to a science. You are one of their subjects when you're watching TV and you're being amused or whatever. Same thing whenever you're not listening to the lyrics and you're just jamming out to your favorite song. You don't know what you're singing. You don't know what the song's about. Same thing. He says, I want them to demand that somebody be punished. I want some fat 40-something-year-old woman saying, what the hell? So they cut her up and now it's nobody's fault? This is what he wants people to say. So we go back to the news. The coma is an unpredictable physical reaction and is nobody's fault. The man says, what the hell? She goes, so they cut her up and now it's nobody's fault. You see? This is all constructed. It's planned. It's designed. This was planned decades and decades ago. This is not on the spot. This is not some new idea they just came up with. Now this guy's sitting there eating the burger and he reminds me of this guy who's McDonald's CEO, Chris, whatever his name is, some Russian name or Polish name, goes viral after seemingly reluctant to eat his own burgers. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a commercial where the CEO of McDonald's, he's like, oh, wow, this huge new burger. And he takes a little tiny mouse bite, and then they never show him swallowing it or anything. So everyone's pretty much assuming he spat that out as soon as the camera stopped rolling. Takes the tiny bite. He looks uncomfortable. He calls the food a product. He doesn't even say this is a tasty burger, like Pulp Fiction style. He goes, that's a good product. That's because these are products. This is food. Products, food. You buy it, you grow it, or it just grows by itself, even without you trying. This puts you in debt, and you will forever be in debt because you need food to live, but you think you need products to live. You don't. This is getting you by. This is sustaining you. This is what you are made out of. This is what you're becoming if you eat this. That's all I got to say about that. Look, literally, this right here, this one apple has an infinite supply for you and all of your generations of all of your families forever inside of it. This has an infinite supply of food contained inside of it. It's called seeds. You put those in the ground, it gets wet, and it grows a whole tree of these that also have an infinite supply of what we call food. Believe it or not. Is that mind-blowing or what? If you're here in the United States, yes, that's mind-blowing. Is it mind-blowing that your government doesn't just plant these on the sidewalks, on every street corner, everywhere? Why not? Goodness gracious me. Why wouldn't they just plant things in your local park or wherever? They used to do this actually in California when I was a kid growing up. They used to have orange trees lining the sidewalks, or kumquats or whatever you pronounce that. Different things. But they stopped all that. They stopped it. They cut it down. They cut all the fruit trees down. They don't want the public having access to free food. Fudge that. That's bad business. You might have seen this one. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden cooking up some McDonald's. He's roasting and he sees Eve walking by and he goes, "Hey, the McRib is back." She says, "Stop calling me that." I think that's hilarious. This says every time the McRib comes out, I try it. They space it out just far enough that I forget. Is this good? No, it tastes like earlobe meat. It's called the McRib. They make it look like it's ribs, like a rib sandwich. It is not. It is not. Even if it was, it'd probably be made out of pork, which is pig, which pigs excrete poison out of their hooves. That's how they sweat, by the way. Then they walk around in their own toxicity, and then they eat from that same pile of muddy, toxic poop where their food is. And that's bacon. And that's what you guys love. Ham sandwiches, all that stuff. That's the McRib, probably. I don't know. I don't even know what the McRib's made out of. Don't get me wrong. It's tasty. When I was a kid, I used to love the McRib, but that's the sauce. Eat one of those bad boys without any sauce on it. It tastes like rubber. I promise. Plastic, rubber, Play-Doh, fakeness. This is what people call pink slime. Some people are trying to say that this is ice cream. No, that's not the pink slime that most of these fast food places make their hamburgers out of. No, that's strawberry ice cream in a cardboard box. This article says McDonald's drops the use of gooey ammonia-based pink slime in hamburger meat. McDonald's says that's not true. That's not our hamburger meat. That's not what it looks like. Then like what it really looks like is very similar to that. But they also have 3D printed cow that you can buy. 3D burgers. Star Trek The Next Generation style. You just print those bad boys out from a computer. You go, "Computer, print me salmon." And it prints you out some salmon. Printed food. And they go, "Well, it's plant-based. There's some kind of plant in there somewhere. I swear it's not plastic and rubber and ink and blue number 4 or red dye or whatever. I swear." People are eating this. You are what you eat. Don't you know that? You're becoming more fake, more plastic, more out of shape, which is going to lead to diseases because your body wants to fight that off. That's not food. That's not real. That's Play-Doh. I don't know what you guys call Play-Doh in other countries, but we call it Play-Doh. It's not real, okay? You cook that, and you can get it to sort of look real, but it's not real food. You better start testing out your food. I highly recommend it. If you don't, you're at fault. You need to start testing this crap out. If you are somebody that eats at restaurants, if you are somebody that eats fast food or whatever, I highly recommend you inspect it. Okay? Only good things can come from that, because you will enlighten yourself. You will give yourself knowledge, and you will be less afraid. Or you can live in ignorant bliss, and you can say, "Forget it." In which case, you're probably not even watching this right now. The guy says, "You remember whenever you asked me to report to you all the goings on?" He's like, "Yeah, I lied to you. I made it all up, Bob. I made up all of that. And you loved it. You ate it up. You believed all of my stories about how there's, other people are in the mob and, their connections to advertising and stuff. He's like, I lied. That's like the first rule of advertising. You lie to people. You tell them what they think might be true that will scare them so that they bite it. Or you tell them what they think might be true because they want it to be true. You know what I mean? Like the war in Iran right now. Like, that garbage is a lie. I can see right through that. I'm sure many of you can too. How do I know it's a lie? Because there's no damn way that the biggest, baddest player on the block, the United States of America, has beef with a bunch of sand warriors. You know, a bunch of people that are a third world country that has nothing and like probably little to no technology. And even if they do, who freaking cares? They're on the other side of the earth. I mean, that whole story is bogus. I know that, but I'm not scared. I don't believe that they're on the verge of some atomic bomb. And even if they made one, they're not going to like go out of their way to ship it all the way over here. They're going to mess with Israel or somebody closer to them. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. But if you are scared that it might be true, you're more inclined to believe in that lie. The same thing works in the medical industry. They're trying to scare you. Same thing works in advertising. In this movie, they're going to use scare tactics to get you to buy their products because they're safer and better for you than, the alternative. Your banks will say it's for your safety. It's for your protection. You know, those other banks, they don't protect your money as good as we do. They're open to scammers and hackers and this and that, but we will protect you. That's why you should, cut us in on the action. They're all manipulating your feelings. And Bob dies. And then the coroner comes and says, do you know his name? I immediately said his name is Robert Paulson. I have to. Like anytime a character's name is Chuck, I always say, thanks, Chuck, for 39 great years. But his name is Robert Paulson, and I've explained the meaning of that I've explained Bob in one of my prior Truth in Movies, and I've explained Robert Paulson in Fight Club when we decoded Fight Club. So here's the new face of their version of McDonald's. Or their version of McDonald's in real life is called, what was it? Tasty Period. Jesus. Definitely can't eat there. I would be thankful if I lived in Russia. I'm like, thank you for calling it that. Thank you. I've been looking for a reason to stop eating there. Now, this guy, he goes up and he says, absolutely most risky business strategy in history, and we pulled it off. We have begun to alter consumers' concepts of beauty. Picture a world where only fat women will be popular, he says. Well, why does he want them to be fat? Obviously, because all the products are bad for you and they make you fat. They make you sick. Fat's just one thing that they point out in this movie, right? There's things that will cause you to wrinkle, to age faster, to get sick, for your body parts to, you can get cancer, you can die, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of bad stuff. And some of it's hereditary. You might be passing McDonald's down onto your kids or whatever. Fat will become the new fabulous, he says. This movie is made in 2012. Keep that in mind. Now, the advertiser guy, he gets sick of it. They set him up. They used him as a patsy, and he becomes a shepherd. He has all these cows or whatever, a cowboy, I guess. He becomes a cowboy, and he goes out. He's moving his cattle. And the girl goes out to find him, and she does. And she's like, oh my God, I found you. Oh my God. And they're, in love again, and they're catching up. And then it says one night, that same boy who was struck by lightning as a child. And then it shows this again. He was sent a message in a dream. He dreamed while he was shepherding his cows. He grew very tired. And he fell asleep. So in his dream, he fell asleep. And he had a dream inside of his dream. In the dream within the dream, he heard a voice. That voice told him that there is something he must do. It described it to him clearly and in perfect detail. And after that, he woke up. Now, what they just shared with you in this movie, I have heard this a million times when researching historic records. There have been person after person after person through antiquity, and sometimes on occasion, even myself, I've had similar experiences where I have been given instructions, I have been told revelations inside of dreams or inside of meditations within meditations or whatever you want to call it. This does happen. It's happened to many famous people, especially inventors, creative-minded people especially. So he wakes up from his little dream within the dream and he starts drawing. He was given a schematics. This has also happened. People, inventors, have been shown schematics in visions, in dreams, and it comes from somewhere. So he builds this altar. It's got these 4 columns, 4 pillars, and this little unfinished pyramid base at the bottom there. And then he starts looking out at his cows, and the sun is going down. And one cow in particular stands out to him. Why? Because this cow is all white. And whatever color of light hits this cow, it's going to change the color of the cow because it's all white. This is why some animals are named what they are named, because this is hard to explain in a nutshell, but there are some animals after the reset that enter into this world and they are all white. And they light up under the different geoplasmas and cosmic plasmas that are coming down and shooting up from the earth. And they're named after that. Lights. They light up. So for example, freaking lamb. The word lamb is related to the word flamma, which is lama, which is the word lamp, which means a light. They're called lamps because they lit up compared to all the darker animals. Because of these purple lights and cyan lights and blue lights and magenta lights and stuff, all the stuff that comes into this world during every other cycle, during what the Freemasons call the Age of Light. Anyways, so this particular cow, he watches it as the sun sets and it just turns blood red. It becomes a red cow, or in the religious community, a red heifer. I don't know why people say red heifer these days when we don't use the word heifer anymore. It's the same thing as when people quote the Bible and they insist on speaking in the freaking King James language. Like, do you speak Old English? No. Then why are you quoting the Bible in Old English? I don't know. That's because it's the Bible. Anyways, that's just a little that just irritates me personally. But I understand people are sheep, people are cows. They don't know any better. They just don't know any better. They're trying their hardest. They really are. So, I do appreciate that. So he leads this red cow, or this red heifer, into the altar, and he slaughters it to death, blood everywhere, all over the place, gets it all over him, and he looks kind of psychotic, but he's performing a ritual. He cleanses himself afterwards, and then he sets the whole place on fire, the whole altar, burns that cow up. I mean, a powerful fire. The fire consumes the blood, the skin, the bones, the hide, everything. And it leaves ash. So he goes over to that ash and he puts it into a cistern, a jar of water. And he creates mud from the ash of this dead heifer. And he pours the muddy ash water all over himself. Why on earth is he doing this? Because this is literally in the Bible, in the Torah, in the Old Testament. It's a commandment in, Deuteronomy 19 or something? I don't remember exactly where. But it's called the sacrifice of the red heifer. People did this if they came in contact with a dead body, so that they wouldn't get whatever disease that might be on that body. This was prescribed to them. You need to cover yourself in this ashes of a particular cow. Now, where do I believe this comes from is much different than literally you need to kill a cow, has to be this color. You know what I mean? I believe this is the holy cow. This is the red cow, the red bull, the bull's eye, as I said before. This is the minotaur. There is a beam of light that comes down from this, and There's a little plasma that surrounds the Garden of Eden. It looks like legs at the bottom. But there's a little beam of light that comes down from this, and it looks like a person standing there with his arms up in the air. Or it looks like a headless person with horns, or a person that has the face of a bull, i.e. the Minotaur, who is at the center of the labyrinth. The labyrinth is just the walls that go all the way around, naturally made huge cliffs that go around Atlantis and Hyperborea and the Garden of Eden, etc. Anyways, this is that red bull. This is the holy cow. This is why cows are considered to be holy and sacred. This, depending on your perspective, can also represent the devil or the two-horned one, the entity, or whatever. This is another artist's conception of this. People drew this shape and different shapes because this would change its plasma and it's going through cycles and stuff. In antiquity, people saw this and they drew it upon rocks. And this is one of the most drawn shapes in history across the world in the form of petroglyphs. This is from a video I made. I actually added these little beams because I'm sharing a story from Native American tradition, oral tradition, about the last destruction cycle. They called this the monster. That was the monster of the Nez Perce Indian tribe. And then it talks about how like they cut these strings that were on each side of this monster. If you want to watch the video, you can. It's pretty cool story. Here's the picture. It's called Monster of the Nez Perce, Perce, Nezperce. Go check that one out. That's a little gem right here on my channel. And it's not under live streams, it's under videos. It's probably 5 minutes long, 10 minutes max. Anyways, that's a good one. Back to the movie. So we've got advertisements for new shows like Happy and Drugs. And you got all these chicks. They're all happy and on drugs. And you've got President Devil, which looks like Resident Evil, Restitution. And it kind of looks like a butcher or somebody. Anyways, you get the point, right? With all these different commercials. And then they start showing you how the ads, the commercials, changed the people. And keep in mind, this is Russia. Like, Russia is known for having some pretty beautiful looking people, okay? You know? So now this is Russia. After they're eating their version of KFC and Mickey D's and Subway, which is called Fat Fry, which I think is funny because a lot of people think Subway is good for you. You know how much bread that is? You know, you have any idea how much bread that is? I never get the big bread. I always get like a little sandwich bread. But yeah, you know, eating one bagel is like eating 6 slices of bread. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. It's literally called fat. And that's another thing that we had here in America. People started calling fat, like, they'd be like, oh no, she's not fat. She's PHAT, pretty hot and tempting. And they made an acronym for it and stuff. When I was growing up, you wouldn't be caught dead. If you had like rolls upon rolls upon rolls and you're out in like a tube top or something, people didn't do that. You just would not do that because people would be pointed out and be like, dude, what are you doing? If you're a guy, they'd be like, put on a shirt, bro. You know what I mean? They don't do that now because they are all entitled. And it's not just fatness, it's everything, okay? There's sickly people out there. Sickness is another one. Most people are sick. Most people are constantly sick. They can't help it. They're always sick. And a lot of time, the two go hand in hand. But it's poor ethics, it's poor morals, it's poor values, and shame on any country out there that's trying to say otherwise. Shame on any country out there. Actually, let me take that back. What I'm saying is that's what we're taught. Shame on any country that doesn't allow us to be entitled. Shame on any country out there, we're taught, who tries to express a sense of moral integrity. That's what we're taught. We're taught to shame them. We're taught, don't shame fat people. That's called fat shaming. But you can shame an entire fucking country on the other side of the world for trying to do what is traditionally right by their moral code of ethics. Wow, blows my mind. Anyways, this chick's drinking her diet soda. She's clearly on a diet. And she's wearing a shirt. I think this kid's wearing the same shirt. Hold on. Where is it? Oh yeah, the kid's wearing the shirt that says I love fat chicks. Look at that. Some of you out there do. That's fine. I don't care. Let me just remind you, I'm not slamming your preferences at all. I'm just trying to show you that this is not your choice. It's not your preference, okay? I'm sorry, it's not. It's not a preference. Here in America, your preferences are dictated by your brands. This has been branded into your mind as a form of inception to make you think that is your preference. Your preference is somebody who is kind and treats you well and clicks with you and vibes with you and stuff like that. That's just naturally what your preference should be. Not, I just love all fat chicks. That's not a preference. Are you serious? I don't love all hot chicks. I don't love all traditionally hourglass, skinny girls or whatever. I don't. Matter of fact, my personal experience has shown me a lot of those chicks are psychos. Sorry, I've probably been called psycho myself a few times, but I'm just saying, like, just because you look a certain way doesn't mean that I'm going to wear a t-shirt that says I love that in general. Forget that. I'd rather love, you know what I mean? The stuff of value that actually people bring to contribute to my life. That's what I love. I want a t-shirt that says that. That's probably too much for people to read though. Here's another example. The dude gets kidnapped by his ex-girlfriend. She finds him passed out in the barn after he did this ritual. So he wakes up. He's like, oh my God, where am I? I'm in this car. And he's like, oh, it's my girlfriend's car or my ex-girlfriend. He looks at her and then he sees this come out right at him. This thing just attached to her comes right out of her in his face and he freaks out. He's just seeing these weird creatures all over the place. He's like, don't move, don't move. He doesn't realize that she can't see it. And there's this weird looking thing just staring at him like that. And he gets a newspaper and he like tries to like touch it, but the newspaper goes right through it like it's invisible. Only he can see this. And he's just amazed. He's like, oh my God. And he realizes she can't see it. So he's just quiet about it. He can't recognize his hometown of Moscow. He says, is this Moscow? She goes, yeah, this is Moscow. He's only been gone 6 years, by the way. He doesn't recognize the place. She takes him back to her place and she goes, I don't know how to tell you this, but surprise, this is your son. And he's like, okay. And he can see these creatures, you can see them too, coming out of the kid, growing out of his neck and from his armpit. And this creature right here actually like even almost has some words on it. Do you see these creatures? He sees them coming out of his own son, growing out of him like little parasitic balloons. And he doesn't even know what to say. He's speechless. The mom comes in. She's like, oh, my baby. Oh, look at you. Oh, you're so cute in your little costume or whatever. And by the way, this costume that he's wearing is a superhero that's actually a fat superhero because they have made fat beautiful. So now there's this one super, super overweight superhero, and that's who he's dressed as, by the way. So the mom comes in and she's like, oh my God, I love you so much. He's wearing an Aerosmith t-shirt, by the way. That all that is the winged disc. That's the apex dome up there in the sky that I mentioned. Now the lights go out. He can't see those creatures on her, so they start getting touchy-feely. Next thing you know, they wake up. She turns on the lights and she's like, I want to look at you. I want to see you. He looks up at her and oh my God, what the frick? There's this thing coming out of her, just floating right in front of his view, right in front of him. This thing that she can't see that's connected to her. And he's just like, God. This is kind of like on They Live at the very end when the girl has sex with the guy and then she looks over and everyone can see the reptilian, weird, zombie-looking creatures. And she's like, oh my God. Now, he's trying to tell her, it's not you. I'm not disgusted by you personally or anything. And she's like, oh, that's right. That's right. You saw creatures on me, right? And then she's like making fun of him. And he's like, I really do. I see creatures that are growing off of you. And she's like, F you. And she slaps him. So she's offended. She doesn't believe him. She doesn't want to believe him. Right? That's another thing. It's like the opposite of the wizard's first rule. People will not believe the truth if it's something that's misaligned with their wants. If it's people won't believe the truth if they don't want it to be true. You know what I mean? If it personally inconveniences them somehow, they won't believe the truth. You know what I mean? Then he starts Googling this ritual that he did. He wants to know what the hell that was about because he doesn't know. It came to him in a dream. He realizes it's this ancient Hebrew ritual. He looks it up. He finds it. They're showing you some more of the advertisements of all the overweight kids and adults and stuff. Then he watches these people out on the streets and he sees this guy right here has this creature attached to his back. You see that? And he walks around and the creature's actually pulling him in the direction of this McDonald's. So it's not the guy's desire. It's not the guy's preference. This dude who looks like he's pregnant, it's not his preference personally to go to McDonald's. It is the creature's preference to pull him, to influence him so strongly that he ends up going to McDonald's. And even when he walks past it, the creature gets real big and it pulls in the other direction, trying to get him to go back to McDonald's. The kid has one too. The kid's begging his mom. Mommy, you promised. Come on, I want it. I want some. Meanwhile, the creature gets bigger and bigger and it's tugging at the McDonald's, pulling on this kid who's like about to pass out. He's about to throw a tantrum. He's about to cry, stomp his feet, scream at the top of his lungs. Have you guys ever heard a kid do that in public at like a shopping, like at the store because they're not getting what they want? I can't even believe that happens. And I am so sorry if I ever did that. I hope I never did that as a child. But I hear it now as an adult and as a father. Thankfully, my son never does that. So I'm bragging a little bit, but if you raise your children correctly, they will be raised correctly. You won't have kids that throw tantrums and just scream and crap in public and do whatever they want because they're entitled because you think you're entitled. You're just being their teacher. And hey, listen, it's not you guys' faults. Okay? It's your mother's faults and their mothers and their fathers and their fathers and their fathers and their ancestors because you all give little freedoms away. So if you participate, then you join in on that collective and therefore you're guilty by association and it is your fault. Okay? Your ignorance is your fault. Go study, go learn. You don't know how to be the best parent in the world? That's fine. Don't just walk around saying, I'm not the best parent in the world. Be the best parent in the world. Go look it up. Go research it. Go find out. So what if you didn't have good role models? So what if your parents treated you like crap or you had a bad childhood? That doesn't stop your ability to find out, to learn. You just have to want to. That's the good news. You live in a time right now where you have the world's information at your fingertips. You can go change. You can go learn. You can go research. You can go find out. And you can start practicing little things here and there that will make a better world for everybody. You can literally change the world. But it's up to you. I'm not going to force you. I am. So anyways, this thing is tugging. This little Ronald McDonald parasite is just tugging on this kid and he's just freaking out. He's like, mommy, get it for me. The dad bends down. He's like, don't you think that's kind of scary? And the mom looks at him like, stop. Don't talk to him about your wacko conspiracies. So this thing's like just coming out of his neck. And he's like, mommy, can I please have some? Can I please have some, please? And the parasite's just reaching as far as it can to really get over there to the burger. The mom finally gives in. Why? She doesn't know any better. She's ignorant. She doesn't know how to do the right thing. She's not aware that there's this gigantic invisible parasite that's influencing this kid's brain, that's making him a fat little kid. And he's, going to get sick and he's going to have problems getting older. She's not aware of all this stuff. She hasn't been taught properly. She's been raised in the education system. She gives him some money to shut him up. Fine. Okay. Just stop making a scene and go get one. Okay. I want to be a good mom. I don't want to not feed my kid. So he goes over there. He purchases his little Happy Meal or whatever. And this thing gets bigger and bigger. It inflates. He's feeding the parasite. That's what's hungry. You know, that's why you don't have these cravings for water. You know, parasites don't like water. You know, like that's why you will be, anytime you're hungry and you're craving like McDonald's or soda or anything bad for you, cigarettes or whatever, go drink some water. I guarantee you that craving will go away. Drink like 2 glasses of water or whatever, however much, you know, is good, like a decent amount. And you'll feel better because your body wants you to put something into it. So put some water into it real quick. Those parasites that are in your brain and in your stomach and everywhere in between, they're going to freak out. I promise you. If you start just drinking water, they're going to freak out and they're going to start whispering to you and start trying to make deals with you. They're going to say, all right, look, we're really proud of you that you actually drank some water last time. You totally deserve a cherry Pepsi. Totally, everything in moderation, right? You said that yourself on that live stream. You totally deserve to have a Big Mac. And then actually, if you want, you could just drink some water with it. I swear to God, they're going to do that. So you got to be careful. They're crafty, man. They're crafty. Anyways, this parasite grows, it breaks off, and it contributes to the collective, which is this gigantic one, which is all the energy that comes out of this place. And then, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but these restaurants, they pump smells out into the open air, which are designed to hang around. Anybody that's ever been near a Krispy Kreme knows exactly what I'm talking about. Burger King, Krispy Kreme, they pump out smells on purpose to flood the surrounding area so that people in the area, their mouth starts to water. And they're like, damn, that smells good. Like, otherwise it should just be, they wouldn't normally do that, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, there's this huge parasite. The kid's parasite shrinks. It's been satiated. It's satisfied so far. It got what it wants. It's in the middle of eating, so it can't be all reaching around and stuff. It goes into a slumber state because it's eating. It's not the boy that's eating, okay? Half of you people have cravings. You ain't hungry. I'm telling you right now, you're not hungry. Go drink some water and see if you're hungry. You're not hungry, okay? But my tummy's rumbling or whatever. No, you can go like 30 days without eating food and you won't die. They say, okay, 3 weeks, 30 days, somewhere around there. All right, you might get hungry, but that's just, you're uncomfortable. It's your body. It's the little parasites that are making demands and saying, feed us or we're going to fuck with you. That's what you call hunger. I know it and you know it. Okay. So the good thing is it's your body, not the parasite's body. You can do whatever you want. You can run some experiments. You can fast for a day. See what happens. Fuck with them. Just screw with those things just on purpose. Just don't eat for a day. See what happens. Have some fun with it. You know what I mean? Experiment. You be in control. Take the reins for once. Just for a little bit at a time, you know? And then a little more each time. And then you can start figuring out what you truly love, what you truly like, what you truly enjoy, what you truly wish to have, what you're actually satisfied with. You can start to get to know yourself, I promise. Where was I? Oh, so this kid's chowing down and he crossed the street without looking. The mom's like, baby, don't cross the street without looking. He's zoned out. He ain't listening to her commands. So she resorts to saying, no more burger if you don't remember. And he goes, no burger? What? No burger? Okay, mommy, I'll look both ways before crossing the street. He ain't listening. That's the parasites listening. The parasites heard no more burger. Guys, she said no more burger. You need to speak up. Tell this kid to speak up. And they put their little hands up to the sock puppet's brain. And he goes, okay, mommy, I promise I will from now on. He's going to do it the next time. Okay? The parasites will start speaking for you, I promise. Now, they show the girl. The dad sings his kid to sleep. He sees all the little parasites growing on the back of the kid's neck. Every time he whines, you see these little parasites. What else? Yeah, it's just growing and stuff. These are actual parasites, by the way. I don't know if that's what the movie was supposed to be trying to emulate, but that's what I got out of it. We are seeing what cannot be seen because they're microscopic. Don't think just because they're microscopic that they're ineffective or that they're not very influential. Okay? This is a real parasite. This is a real parasite. These are creatures, demons, some people call them, that get into the human body and grow and multiply and attach to your most important organs, even your brain. This snail, for example, has a parasite that went through its eyes, enlarged its eyes, and its eyes will start changing colors, and it controls the snail's brain, telling it to go to the top, to the highest place it can possibly get to, so that it will be eaten by a bird, so that the bird can get the parasite, because the parasite wants to travel. And it knows a bird is the best way. So the parasite wants to be eaten by some other consumer so it can travel and spread and procreate and rule the fucking world. If there are parasites out there that control the brains of snails, don't you think that there are some parasites intelligent enough to control humans? Might want to think about that. Another parasite, boom. Venom, by the way, is like a parasite turned into a hero. Just like in the movie where they showed you the fat guy turned into the superhero. That's this. You're just looking at this cool anti-hero or whatever. Venom is a freaking parasite. He's not some alien, whatever that's just lives inside of this guy's body. It's a parasite. Can't you see that? It wants this chicken that he's holding. It wants some KFC. It wants to eat people's brains. Anyways, the family leaves. They're all eating the burger and Diet Coke or whatever that is. And he stops chewing and he's just he starts spitting it out. He's pretending in order to get along. He's going along with it to get along with it. He doesn't want to piss off his wife. He doesn't want to piss off this little fat kid that's his son. He doesn't want to upset anybody. He doesn't want to cause any waves. So he stopped talking about the things that he sees. But then he just got sick of it. He just throws it all on the ground. He takes a knife, sticks it right into that burger, which reminded me of another advertisement I recently saw. He-Man was one of my favorite childhood cartoons growing up, and they're doing a remake, a live-action remake of He-Man, which will probably suck. Every He-Man that they try to do sucks, okay? Everyone, even cartoons. There's only one good He-Man, and it's the original. But anyways, if you look closely at Denny's new advertisement for their Masters of the Universe menu, they stick a big old knife in the middle of this giant burger because they want the kid to feel empowered and pull it out and say, I have the power. And they want subconsciously the kid to identify with He-Man. Why? Because He-Man's this buff guy right here. He's in good shape. He's got lots of muscles. He's toned. He's attractive. And he's going to fight Skeletor, who's like the super bad guy. And these kids can't fight bad guys in real life, so they're going to live vicariously through He-Man, who fights Skeletor, the bad guy. Here's the little sword that's, in the stone or the burger or whatever. Look at this crap they're putting on breakfast. Chocolate? Is that ice cream? Oh my God. What is this? This is supposed to be breakfast? That's what I call dessert in my house, where I'm from. Look, here's a couple slices of pig, and you got some cake and ice cream with chocolate drizzled all over it. That's insane. Fudge that. You ain't getting that. My son would not order that. And what's this other thing? Look at this. This is dessert. What is this called? Do I have a picture of that? There's those. Oh, yeah. Junior Grayskull's Epic Crackle Cakes. Crackle cakes? They crackle in your mouth? Is that Pop Rocks? Are they literally putting candy on top of the cake that has icing all over it and stuff? This is supposed to be breakfast? And then they want you to think this is like a part of your balanced breakfast. He-Man eats it. He-Man eats Pop Rocks and cake for breakfast. No, I think it's something Skeletor would eat. Here's Skeletor's shake or whatever. The shake probably is better for you than the freaking cake and the other crap. But Pop Rocks? That's insane. So he's holding on to this little Eternia sandwich. looks at it and he goes, "You think I'm going to eat you?" That's what I have to say, Denny's. You think I'm going to eat that just because you stuck a knife in it and you're pretending it's a sword and I get to be a kid for a moment? Nah. Sorry, buddy. I'm not falling for it. So he tosses all the food. He starts tossing everything out of the fridge. He's getting rid of everything. He's just, bam, making a mess. And as he does, the mom walks back in and he's like, oh, crap. Totally just got caught. And she walks away with her little Versace freaking parasite or whatever that's supposed to be following her. And he goes, look, it's a conspiracy. I'm just going to tell you the way it is, okay? It is a conspiracy. It's a cynical conspiracy. All the noise surrounding what happened to that girl was manufactured to alter people's image of beauty. To make fat cool, to make it cool to be fat, to make it cool to eat more hamburgers. And then they also, just thinking about it, like they provide for all these people too. I didn't even know that like size quadruple X and above could exist. You used to have a special store when I was a kid for sizes like that. It was called Big and Tall. And, you know, it really meant gigantic and fat, but it was big and tall. And that's where you could find like, you know, anything more than a double XL, I think, possibly. But now they just sell that stuff normally everywhere. There's no need to go to Big and Tall. He says, look what they did to Robert, which is the little boy, the little fat kid. He's fat. Come on. So what? Like, I don't care. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not talking about his morals or anything. I'm just saying he's a little fat kid. Okay. But that's his son. Now it's getting personal. Oh my God. Now it's getting personal. This is where people have a hard time separating themselves from the truth if it impedes upon their personal preferences, their personal family life or whatever. Okay. He says, look what they did to Robert. She goes, what they've done to Robert? Gets all like in her feelings. What have they done to him, huh? So now she doesn't want to accept it. She doesn't want to say anything negative about her son because she's biased. That's her son. She can't acknowledge that her son is, you know, overweight. And so he starts explaining to her, you begin to want something, and this big weird creature grows out of you. He's explaining what he sees. And it starts getting bigger. And he says, they make you have desires that are not the kind that can be completely fulfilled. It's just constant chasing the carrot. Okay? You'll never fulfill those desires. It's an occupation. It's a subtle, unnoticeable occupation, he says. Everyone's just running around happy. Everyone's happy. Everyone's smiling. And she's like, so? What's wrong with that? Well, you're all fat, overweight, sick, nasty weirdos, you know, that have all kinds of mental problems. And you're all walking around smiling your butts off. That's creepy, man. That's more of a horror movie than a utopian society. He says she says it's because everyone wants to be happy, so they're happy or whatever. He says, yeah, a castrated lamb is happy too, Abby, because it doesn't know what it lost. It's ignorant of what it could have had. Everyone's walking around in ignorant bliss. He says desires can be different. We've all been trained to love shit, to want shit, and to shit, to quote the movie. She says, trained by who? And he's like, Lenin, this is all propaganda. Like, this is all advertising is. It's propaganda from, you know, the old wars. It used to be the brands that were formed from people's desires. And now it's people that are being formed according to the desires of the brands. The people are being shaped by the brands instead of the brands being shaped by the people. Everything's backwards. She says, you know what? I know exactly what you need to do about all of this. You need to see a doctor, she says. And that's also what they will tell you in today's world. Are you a conspiracy theorist? Do you have anxiety? Are you depressed about the state of the world and how fucked up things are? You need to see a doctor. Why? So we can make some money, so that you can be prescribed some stuff, so that people can pretend to be interested in what you have to say and possibly spy on you and possibly tell on you. You know, when you tell them like all the kind of thoughts that you're having, so that we can medicate you, so that we can change and alter your frequency and your brain and your chemicals and all the levels that make you you. We want to change all that and take all that away from you. Clear signs that something's fucked up and wrong, let us take that away from you. We've got a pill for that. You need to talk to a doctor. Make sure you talk to your doctor before you blah, 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 blah. You know why they say that? Because they want everyone to think you should have your own doctor. You're weird if you don't have your doctor. I don't have a fucking doctor. I'm JayDreamerZ. I have 100,000 people, subscribers on YouTube. You know, I do what I love for a living. I don't have a doctor. I'm not going to go consult my doctor about every little thing because I am my doctor. Okay? Me. I am the doctor of the freaking house. I'm the doctor. I am Dr. JayDreamerZ. Okay? I'm the doctor. Now, if I happen to have an emergency or something, like, and I need access to stuff that I don't have here at the house, yeah, I'll probably go to the emergency room and I'll probably not pay that bill. I'm just going to be honest. If that does happen, I'm not paying that bill. They charged me wheelchair mileage at the hospital last time I went. I swear to God. Anyways, I'm way off topic. Let's continue back to the movie. All right, so we got like a big, overweight Little Mermaid movie poster here and stuff like that. And then you can hear the news. And the news, after everyone's overweight and eating printa meat, the news says the strange and deadly new virus continues to grip Russia. 10 more fatalities today. The origin of the disease cannot be classified as a pandemic. The guy walks around, just sees all these viruses floating around, all these nasty parasites and stuff. And they're all, you know, they all look just like their brands and stuff too. And they're attached to everybody. So, I mean, you can see like there's one here, there's some floating up here, there's one on this guy's shoulder right here, there's one on this chick right here. And when they get closer, you can see that like, they're attached to the people. She's trying to talk to him, but he can't even hear what she's saying. Because April O'Neil is covered by the McDonald's parasite all up in his face. Ah, what's up? Like, he can't even listen to her. All he hears is the parasite speaking. So he freaks out and he pushes her down. And he's like, oh crap, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And she's like, she doesn't see any of that. So she just feels like, you know, he abused her or whatever. Anyways, his company, Best Solution, calls him up and says, hey, we got a Chinese fast food chain that we want you to advertise. Okay, you can get back on your feet, start with these Chinese people. Then he starts watching TV and they're talking about this deadly new virus. No one knows where it came from. Can you imagine that? Everyone's getting sick for some reason. I wonder why. Viral pandemic has gone global. The origin is still unknown. Everyone's dying now all of a sudden. Everyone's literally eating poison and toxic waste. But there's like a pandemic and everyone's dying. We don't know where it came from. I wonder if they're related. So he devises a plan. He wants to get back at all of these nasty viruses and parasites and stuff that have invaded his family. He needs to kill them. In order to kill them, he needs to kill the idea, which means he needs to now engage in corporate espionage. He needs to now do military tactics in the advertising world. So this is the Chinese food place. When he looks at it, he sees this huge dragon egg. When everyone else looks at it, they just see a Chinese glyph. He meets the Chinese food people. They want to start a vegetarian Chinese shop, some veggie ramen. The guy bows. Lo and behold, he also has a ramen parasite attached to him. That's going up into the ceiling. They all have it attached to them. He says, listen, I can make you the #1 food chain in Russia, and you can beat the burger, you can beat all of them. But are you willing to go the ultimate distance? Are you willing to do anything? And they're like, yeah, sure, we'll do anything. Even if it's illegal, we don't care. So all the little ramen aliens and their brains confer and agree and concur with each other. He's like, cool. First thing I want you to do is I want you to manufacture a beef tester. I want you to make something to test beef. He tells the vegetarian Chinese people. They're like, what? Beef tester? Why would we do that? We make vegetarian Chinese food. He's like, don't worry. And then he plays this commercial. And we see this like, attractive looking overweight girl who's like waiting for somebody at Mickey D's. And then here he comes. He's sort of an attractive looking overweight guy. And he's got like some Diet Coke and some French fries and a burger and stuff. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she smells a flower and it's their first date. And she's so excited and they're both going to share this meal together. And it's just this romantic atmosphere. And she just looks at him. She can't wait to take a big bite and he's going to have some too. And they're both going to, gain some weight together and they're doing it together and it's really romantic. Takes a big bite. He takes a big drink of his soda and then it freezes. The narrator says, there is no smile. This is the silent scream of a person who has unknowingly eaten beef contaminated with dead cow disease or death cow disease. Get your beef tester now or whatever. This is the commercial that he came up with. Remember the wizard's first rule? People will believe something because they're afraid it might be true. This is the basic concept that he's using as the master advertiser in order to sell vegetarian Chinese food. So all these people are going to start buying these beef testers because everyone's going to start panicking and they're spreading the gossip that maybe it comes from the cows. Maybe it's the cows or whatever. I have dead cow disease. Oh my God. It could be anyone. It could be you. This is how the advertising world works. They're at war with each other and they will use you as fodder in that war. So they're all celebrating that it was a brilliant commercial. And he says, make sure you add this line, test your beef or taste your death. You see this propaganda? It's just all propaganda. Every commercial is. Every single one. Is mad cow disease the source of the virus? It's on the news now. So they get the Minister of Agriculture on TV tasting his own product to verify that the burgers are safe and the cows are fine. Exactly like that McDonald's CEO I showed you earlier. Beef, still safe, still tasty, he says. Well, he died. Beef, not guilty, but this guy ends up dying of something related. But did he really die of natural causes, or did he poison him? Or his people poison him, right? Yeah, the guy was poisoned to make it look like it was bad. Virus or genetic mutation. There's all this propaganda going around. They ask these random people, when I say hamburger, what comes to mind? Savoriness? Hunger? And the people go, hamburger? Death. So they all start celebrating. Now they know it's time to launch the vegetarian Chinese fast food chain. So this dragon that's growing in that egg is getting ready to basically hatch. And boom, this huge parasite dragon comes out of it. And he's like, oh my God, I hatched the dragon. And it goes around and it starts eating the McDonald's parasite. So now all the different parasites are waging war on the human body to see who's going to be in control of it, is what you're looking at basically. They're mutating. So now the parasites are mutating too. This dragon goes around. We go back to the best advertiser in the world, this old man. He says, oh, it looks like a storm is coming. And he walks outside. A storm is coming is your clue that the apocalypse is near, okay? These are all omens of the apocalypse. Everything that you just watched on this movie is an omen of the apocalypse. Everything that's happening in your real life right now, these are all omens that are happening. These great changes that you're seeing in the world right now are all omens of a coming shift, of a coming change. I am an author. I write about those changes. I've got books on my website. I've got books on Amazon. I've got a whole website dedicated to it. I'm starting a new show, a new series called Chasing the Apocalypse this week, where I'm going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. to reverse engineer history and to share some esoteric secrets more about the United States with you guys. And that show should be coming out sometime, this summer, sometime around there. So there's lots of different ways that you can understand the times that you live in and what's really going on the world stage. Now he looks out and boom, lightning hits him, bzz, just like it hit that kid. He disappears. The news says the burger declares bankruptcy. So now all these fast food places are starting to go bankrupt. Only the top dogs are going to make it. Just like you saw in Demolition Man, Taco Bell won the franchise wars. That same crap is happening right now. All the little guys are not going to make it. The food prices are going up. The prices for gas, the prices for petroleum, the prices to, for farmers to even make food and stuff is all going up. So only the top dogs, only the rich of the rich of the rich are going to win this franchise war. So anyways, the Chinese food place, Dim Sum, they start building a whole bunch of their vegetarian ones because people are scared to eat beef. He's got the names of all these different places behind him that he wants to take out. And we've seen their names. Look at that one, Shellfish. Ew, gross. We've seen their names throughout this entire movie and presentation. So he crosses off the burger, took them out. They're out of business. So he's just fighting fire with fire at this point. Now they just show you this sort of symbolic war where they show you all the huge parasites that are hovering over all the buildings. They're all going to war with one another. They're all fighting each other. And on a larger scale, this might be hard for some people to grasp, but I believe in what I call the fractal verse, that we live inside of the mind of a larger being, which lives inside of the mind of a larger being, which lives inside of the mind of a larger being, and it's just infinite, which means there are cosmos upon cosmos inside of my mind, my actual physical brain. If that's true, then what you're seeing is a reflection of that. These big ones are not symbolic. This is actual parasites inside of some huge entity, and we get to look in and zoom in on that world like a Dr. Seuss microscope, looking in on the who's of Whoville. Okay? So this is what you're seeing inside of an actual person's brain, inside of their actual mind, are all these parasites, or inside of their body. All these parasites going to work. Good versus evil. And it's going to have an effect on the body. They play another commercial, another propaganda piece showing this baby. This family's watching it. They're like, oh, baby commercial. Diapers keep your boy's skin dry. They show you this happy little baby on the shag carpet. He's so happy. And that's not all these diapers will do. When your boy grows up and this chick with big jugs comes walking down the stairs, bouncing down the stairs, sits down next to him, nothing will distract him from his homework. Dude takes his books, pieces out. He leaves. He's out of there. Because he will be impotent. And the family's like, what? Diapers, dry and sterile. So this is just all more propaganda in the advertising companies to influence you not to buy something from the opposition. People do this here on YouTube. I've seen YouTube content creators. They're all causing drama with one another. They slam into each other and everyone's influencing instead of just encouraging people to be themselves. Live your life however you want. Diapers, dry and sterile. So these people are probably not going to be buying diapers anymore. They're going to go buy the new cloth diapers from whatever the company is, and they'll become millionaires over at that company. All right, we got all the little, viruses all attacking each other. There's this huge culmination of basically like a War of the Worlds, Titanomachy style fight between all of these gigantic virus thingies. So I don't know why I took so many pictures of that, just so you can kind of get a feel for it. Because, oh, you can't watch this movie. That's why I took so many pictures of it. This movie is banned. For all intents and purposes, you cannot rent this movie. Though some people might have asked already, where did I watch it? I found it on YouTube. All right, somebody uploaded their own version of it and they haven't been caught yet. Or the movie is so banned that it's not even in the algorithm. So just a random person just uploaded it with the movie title and the year. You have to type the year into. And you might be able to catch it. But it won't be on anywhere else. It's not on Amazon. It's not on Tubi. It's not on Netflix. It's not on anything. Nothing. It's been erased from the internet. And you could probably see why. Yuck. So anyways, all these nasty viruses everywhere, and now the people revolt against the advertisers. Finally. You think that might be a good thing, right? Let's find out what happens. So, attack on advertising. The people are starting to revolt. He's like, well, the president will make sure, boom, his car blows up. Somebody put a car bomb in his car. The people have had enough. They're walking around, no ads, no fear. They're protesting all over the place. They break into the advertising agency. The people are trying to take their freedom back. No ads, no ads. What's the president gonna do? What's the president gonna do? Some guy busts out a gun, and then the president comes on TV. This government will lead a coalition of 146 nations, willing to place a universal ban on all advertising products and services. What does that mean in English? The president just said the government is going to be in control of all advertising. We're going to ban all advertisements. Do you think they're going to ban themselves? Nope. Ricky, nope. That's what it sounds like when you chew on a balloon. Ricky. I don't know. I'm getting tired, so I'm getting delirious right now. Anyways, the government steps in. They orchestrated this. They knew the people would revolt against advertisements and stuff, and they knew they would say, "Somebody save us from all the advertisements." The government steps in as the hero. "I will save you, comrade. No more advertisements for anybody. Except for us." So they show you this guy's Mercedes-Benz logo. They're taking it off of his car. They give him a ticket for advertising. They give all these cars tickets. They take down all the advertisements everywhere. Goes back to regular old Moscow. The government is in charge now of everything completely. They will tell you what is good for you. They will tell you what to eat and when to eat and how much money you can have and where to spend it as they create their 15-minute little cities. There will be no more advertising except from the government. This will be a dystopian utopia. They will trick you into thinking this is utopia. This is the perfect way it should be. It is going to be a dystopian utopia. You will just be, they have tightened their reins on you. And it doesn't matter. You're screwed either way. You're screwed if you got all the advertising and stuff. But at least then you had the choice not to listen. At least then you had the choice to say no. When the government gets in control of it, it will be law. That's the difference. Now they show that girl that went into a coma. She's been in a coma for like 6-7 years now. She has not been eating the burger for 6 or 7 years, wakes up, and lo and behold, she's walking around skinny in comparison. Okay. Healthy looking. I don't know, but skinny because, you know, she's been on basically a diet in the form of a freaking coma for the last 7 years. And she walks into this world that has no advertising. Like, it's weird. It's this weird Twilight Zone moment. There's no people around. There's all the advertisements are gone. She can't believe it. Camera pans up to the stars and we see the holy cow in the sky. Listen, when people see the holy cow in the sky, which is that plasma phenomenon, if you want to call it that I showed you earlier, after that cow speaks to you, or after you see the cow in the sky, the bull, the minotaur, whatever you want to call it, that is the time when the world will be fixed. once again, in the cycle we're going into, we don't have energy right now. That energy will be restored back to us. And that will be a sign. That's why people are looking for the red heifer or red cow. There ain't going to be a red cow that is born. There's been a million red cows born, okay? Without blemish, you know, meeting all their criteria or whatever. People are like, no, they're going to build the new temple. And it's going to be the third temple. It's going to be in Jerusalem. There's going to be a red cow somehow. And they're going to go back to we're going to bring back the old sacrifices and stuff. Dude, none of that stuff. I mean, even if that did happen physically, modern day Jerusalem is not old Jerusalem. That's at the North Pole. The red cow is plasma that is seen in the sky that's coming off of the apex dome. People don't understand this because they don't understand the cosmology. That's okay. Whatever. The people are going to reciprocate what's happening energetically across the world because the world itself is the strongest influencer of people. Because you are made of the world. You come from the world. Anyways, that's my point. This all leads right back. This ends the same way it begins, with the holy cow in the sky. And it's cyclical. They're showing you a cycle that we go through. We go from a dystopian utopia into the next stage that will end with a utopian dystopia, and then it just keeps switching back and forth. And in between periods are golden ages. Nice times. And then they got like the credits roll. I thought these were kind of cool. They have like all these little versions of like Russian propaganda from yesteryear on the credits. And because they're showing all of this propaganda on the credits, I thought it was really interesting what they show at the very end of the credits. At the very end of the credits of all this propaganda that they're showing you, they show this, which is the Russian space agency astronaut. I thought that was pretty interesting. And that is Branded, the movie Branded. I hope you guys enjoyed that presentation. I really enjoyed watching the movie. I enjoy sharing something with you that I know that it's not easy for everyone to even go out and watch. And I hope that there was a lot of information, a lot of nutrition packed into that delicious burger that I just shared with you guys. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.